Tonight, we have a chance to catch up with Kim Hesh. You've heard of her. She was Kim Svenningson at one time, but she's now Kim Svenningson Hesh. I saw that in your email signature, right, Kim?
Yeah,
That's how it works,
that
yes?
is my real name. Yep.
I love bringing that up. It's just such a
Hey college students, are you looking for a part-time job that works around your schedule, pays well, and gives you free money for college every year? McDonald's offers all of it. We can work around your schedule, and we give $2,500 scholarships to everyone who works for 3 months and averages 15 hours per week. That's 2 full shifts a week or 3 shifts of 5 hours. It's that easy. We've already given out more than $75,000 to students in North Dakota this year. Let us help you become the next scholarship recipient. Come join our team. Text ND29 to 38000 to apply today.
You live life on the move. While you determine what direction that may be, we're here to help along the way. So go. Go with values. Go with friends. Go with support. Go with convenience.
Valley City State, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Very exciting.
But that is what people can see. You're showing them those dollars really pay off.
That is correct. We have a lot of alumni support that gives back between either the V500 or our Century Club membership campaigns, and it's been successful in being able to recruit students, and especially when we add the renewable piece to it. Students kind of see that, and then if they're an athlete, they know that eventually they're going to get maybe an athletic scholarship on top of it, and makes their tuition a little bit easier to choke when you're paying such a big tuition.
Obviously, Valley City State is one of the most economical universities when it comes down to tuition in the area, but that combined with a scholarship opportunity is why we find out we have
Right.
over 1,700 students for the first time in history.
Yep, and we have a lot of new academic programs that makes it exciting. Our sports programs are all doing really well, so they're all just kind of great recruiting tools for us. And V500 is a really mainstay for us, and a lot of our alumni know that name, and then they start giving back. If they receive the V500 scholarship, they start giving back to help, students that are currently going to school here or future students. They help support it that way.
Kim, tell me how V500 is visible when you have these campaigns going on. What do we see and what do we hear?
Right, we have a board of directors that goes out and solicits donations. Our membership campaigns are either they can pay annually, or some people set up a 4-year pledge, and then they give for over 4 years for their membership. And we also send out to a lot of our alumni. If they're a former V500 recipient, we might be soliciting our board members, and our staff are out there working with them. V500 has a banquet in the fall time that we recognize all of our donors. And this year we are actually going to do an event at the Eagles at the beginning of December, and it's a Beatles tribute band, and it's going to be kind of a fundraiser, but to help raise dollars for our V500 scholarship program.
That's a great event that's coming up, and obviously that time of the year there's the North Star Classic going on in Valley City, and so take advantage of an audience that's in town as well.
Right.
But you mentioned the banquet. There are benefits to being a V500 member outside of just seeing those big numbers, right?
Right, yep. You get invited to the dinner, and then we usually have we kind of do it around the Christmas time, and then we go over to our new Center for the Arts, and we have some students and some local talent that perform a little show for us, and then we do like a dessert social afterwards, and it's kind of a nice event, and it's just a way to say thank you to all of our donors.
I'm going to guess that you have V500 members all over the country.
We do.
It's an outstanding outreach program that's easy in the digital age, right?
It is.
To stay,
Yep.
And it keeps people connected with the campus too, as well, I suppose.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
So a great program. We saw the fruits of it this week, not only with the big numbers, but U.S. News and World Report, #1 campus regionally. I was talking with President Lefebvre before the match tonight. Of the 4 regional universities in North Dakota, we're the only one that saw increased enrollment. We're right there with UND as far as the schools that are increasing enrollment.
Yep.
This is a really, really good time to be a Viking and be at Valley City State, and that's what the V500 is all about, isn't
Yep,
it?
it's really kind of amazing to be a former alumni and seeing the growth that we've had and getting, U.S. News for 26 years in a row, and it's just really exciting. And being able to share that with alumni. Our office does a lot of socials throughout North Dakota. We go over to Jamestown, Bismarck, Fargo, and to share that news with our alumni, whether they're young or older alumni, they're always kind of wanting to hear, did we get it another year? Did we get it another year? And so it's really exciting to be able to report that we did get it another year, and that our enrollment growth is, continues to grow, and some of the bigger institutions aren't able to say that, but we are.
Yep, absolutely, and that means that we're doing a great job, not only telling the story, but then performing when students get here. That's a big part of it.
Yep.
Well, great program, V500. If people want to get involved, what should they look for? Where can they find you?
Yes, they can either go to our website, vcsualumni.org, and search on Ways to Give, and there's a V500 page on there, and you can give online or call our office. You can call our office at 701-845-7203, and we'd be happy to answer any questions and get you set up.
Congratulations on the good work, Kim.
Yeah,
these are big
thanks.
numbers. This is a fun time.
It
Now let's
is.
see if we can't keep that V500 rolling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim Hesh joining us tonight for V500 this evening. What a great time to be a Viking. I'll tell you what, when you're talking about nearly 1,800 students and talking with President Lefebvre a couple of moments ago, he said that if we'd have waited and, got all the final dual credit applications that were coming in, we might have been over 1,800 at that point. But that's the first time in history. Lots of freshmen on campus. Really is a great time to be a Viking, and V500 is a big part of that, and we're happy to tell the story on that tonight. Our pregame report will continue when we come back. We'll take a look at Drive for the Title, get you ready for this one tonight. We've got standings in the North Star. We've got a national poll that has VCSU on the drawing board as far as national rankings are concerned in volleyball. Been a long time since that happened. We'll talk it up when we continue next. And some awards for the Vikings this past week as well. This is Viking Volleyball. It's the Vikings in Mayville State from the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. Here on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
CHI Mercy Health of Valley City has openings for full-time or part-time CNAs, occupational therapist, and certified occupational therapy assistant. They're also seeking a full-time nutrition service supervisor with a $5,000 sign-on bonus available for this position. CHI Mercy Health of Valley City also has openings for registered nurses, full-time or part-time, with a $15,000 sign-on bonus available. For more information and to apply, head to mercyhospitalvalleycity.org under the Careers tab.
Are you on the right financial path? Are all your financial professionals on the same page? At LaRue Lockout Financial, you can be assured that your investment professional and tax professional are working together. Call Ryan LaRue at 701-845-6938 or James M. Lockout at CPA 701-845-1660. Services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, and securities offered through Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA and SIPC.
Every body is different. Some experience injuries, while others need extra support.
I'll help you, Grandma.
At Jamestown Regional Medical Center, your health is what matters most. Our orthopedics and sports medicine team care for you and your unique needs. Their goal is to help you live your best life. Choose Jamestown Regional Medical Center for care of hips, shoulders, knees, and broken bones. Learn more at jrmcnd.com/orthopedics.
Why choose professional eye care centers? Let me count the whys. First, there are now 4 great doctors to see: Dr. Frank, Dr. Freilich, Dr. Jangula, and now welcoming Dr. Bond. Next is their many locations. You can now see one of their spectacular doctors in Jamestown, Valley City, Carrington, and Edgeley. And finally, their fantastic frame selection. And yes, all of their frames and lenses are backed by warranty. Visit proeyecarecenters.com and make an appointment today. Professional Eye Care Centers, clearly the best.
Grotberg Electric believes in quality first, taking pride in the work and standing behind every project they do. They bring together the power, technology, and experience to keep your business online. The success of Grotberg Electric depends on 3 major ideals: the quality of their products, the commitment to their customers, and most of all, their customer service. Call Grotberg Electric today at 845-3010 or visit them online, grotbergelectric.com.
Lever's Foods, best quality, best price. Lever's Foods, best service, they're nice. Lever's Foods, they make everything right. Lever's Foods.
All this week at Lever's Foods, rake in the savings on preferred Angus boneless beef arm roast, $4.88 a pound. New crop Honeycrisp apples, just $1.99 a pound. And Brewpub Latza Matza Pizza, only $6.89 each. Delivery is available by calling 845-1732. Remember to observe caution in and around the area during construction.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
Welcome back to the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse and live coverage of Viking Volleyball tonight here on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC. Yes, we are not at our normal digs for Viking Volleyball tonight. We are at Gratian, we were at Gratian Gymnasium. Those are our normal digs. No, we've moved to the Fieldhouse tonight. They were anticipating a pretty good crowd for this one this evening, and their anticipation was probably accurate as Mayville State's traveled fairly well here already, and we've got a good Viking crowd that's brewing for this one. A lot of support for Michelle Micklejohn, who is the former assistant coach for Mayville State University Comet Volleyball, still in Mayville, North Dakota. And obviously they're going to want to wish her well at the same time. Mayville State's here, her former team, taking on her new team and rival in Valley City State University. And so a lot of those things come together tonight and make for, well, at least a night that you would anticipate a pretty good crowd coming together on a Thursday night for volleyball here in Valley City. But welcome back to the Fieldhouse. Glad to be with you here this evening. Ryan Cunningham for Viking Volleyball. Let's take a look at Drive for the Title as our pregame report continues this evening. And the most exciting part of Drive for the Title that we can tell you tonight is that the national poll for NAIA volleyball now has Valley City State mentioned. And it's been a very long time since the Viking volleyball team has picked up votes nationally. Now, they're not in the top 25, so there's still work to do. But in the last poll that was issued back on September the 11th, Valley City State was in the mix, and that's really, really good to see. And let me correct the date on that. It was September 13th. The conference rankings went in on September 11th. Then the main rankings went in on September 13th, and here's where the Vikings came out. 5 votes nationally. It's only 5. But I'll tell you what, when it's been that long for the Vikings, they're definitely proud to be in the mix after a very good non-conference season that saw them beat the then 14th ranked in the country, Ottawa, Kansas, and also beat a one-time ranked Dakota Wesleyan in a sweep that finished off the main part of the non-conference schedule before they got on the road and went out and beat Dickinson State last week in a 3-set sweep to start off conference play. So it's been a very, very good non-conference and start to the conference season, and this Viking team has the numbers to prove it. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in our tools for the game. Top 25 college rankings: Eastern Oregon, 18 of 21 first-place votes. Concordia, Nebraska's second with the other 3. Northwestern Iowa's third. Corbin, Oregon's fourth. Indiana Wesleyan comes in at number 5. Other notables that you're familiar with: Montana Tech was ranked 11th. Bellevue, out of this conference, was ranked 12th, and that's not the highest ranked team in the North Star. Viterbo slipped a couple of spots out of the top 5 to number 6, but right now Viterbo gets the number 6 spot. Bellevue gets the number 12 spot. Dakota State gets more votes than the Vikings, and the Vikings get votes. That's the hierarchy inside the conference. To continue the other notables, the University of Jamestown up a spot to number 16. Of course, they were ranked number 1 at the end of last year with their national championship. Fell to number 17 after a more average start to a year. They've been way above average for the last several years, but at 9-5, they're still a formidable team that's down the road in Jamestown. And Rocky Mountain comes in at number 23. We mentioned Dakota State did get votes in that poll. Coming into tonight, Viterbo's 2-0 inside the North Star Athletic Association and now 15-2 overall. Valley City State's 1-0, technically in second place. Bellevue is 1-1 on the season. Waldorf's 0-1. This will be the first conference test for Mayville State. Dakota State's 0-1. Dickinson State's 0-1. But this league had a really good non-conference season. While we talk about drive for the title, Viterbo's 15-2. Valley City State's 13-3. Bellevue's 13-4. Waldorf is 9-2. Mayville State's 8-3. That tells you a little bit about just how good the non-conference season was for the front runners and then some inside the North Star Athletic Association. And the one thing that jumps off the page is the loss to Bellevue, or by Bellevue inside the league. They were beaten by Viterbo, those two highly ranked teams, and Viterbo won that in 5 sets. So we're set to have some very, very good volleyball played in this league, and also for the Vikings throughout the course of the year. And it's nice that in a year where the league is going to be formidable, Valley City State is part of that mix. And that's a look at Drive for the title. When we come back, we'll take a look at the tools for the game. And one of the things we're going to talk about, blocking. Michelle Micklejohn wanted to institute the block as a big part of Viking volleyball. The numbers would show us that she has succeeded as she gets ready to play Mayville State University tonight. Comets, Vikings, here at the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. We'll continue with our pregame report next. This is the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC. We're back with more in a moment.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
Hi, this is Clint from Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in Valley City, your only locally owned pharmacy since 1989. When you're locally owned, you care about your community and your customers. We're here for you from 9 to 5:30 weekdays and Saturdays 9 to 1. We offer mail out with no additional product fee, and we offer an automated system for convenient refills. And as always, Dr. Natalie Meyer, Terry, Rachel, Cindy, Christina, or myself will answer your calls at 845-5280. Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in beautiful downtown Valley City.
This is Amy Heim, nurse practitioner with Sanford Health. Well child checks are important visits for children of every age. Yearly well child checks are recommended for children 3 and older, and more frequently for those younger than 3. It is at these visits that growth, development, and preventative care are addressed in an effort to keep children as healthy as possible. Recommended immunizations are also discussed and provided at these visits. Call 742-3267 to schedule at your local Sanford Health Clinic in Ellendale, Foreman, Gwinner, Lemoore, Lisbon, or Oaks.
This is Hannah Whelan at Valley City State University. The V500 scholarship members' generosity and commitment is exactly the kind of community involvement we need to keep VCSU going strong. The many scholarships provided are a testament to the support of the alumni, family, and friends of VCSU. Please keep expanding the opportunities available to enhance the lives of the next generation and make a difference for attracting future Vikings by supporting scholarships online at give.vcsu.edu. or by calling the VCSU Foundation.
When gathering around the table with family and friends or enjoying a quiet meal by yourself, make certain you have the finest cuts of meat from Valley Meat Supply. Quality steaks and pork chops that make every bite a true delight. Valley Meat offers a wide variety to satisfy every taste and budget, including incredible sausage, several varieties of cheese, baked beans, award-winning beef jerky and snack sticks, and a great selection of spices. Valley Meat Supply, your locally owned, locally sourced meat market, located on West Main Street in Valley City.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
Welcome back to Viking Volleyball tonight from the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse on campus of Valley City State University, away from our usual intimate digs at Gratian Gym for an opportunity to be here tonight at the big gym here at the Fieldhouse, where Mayville State and Valley City State get ready to go in conference volleyball tonight. We welcome you back to our pregame report. Our pregame report this evening is brought to you in part by Sanford Health Valley City, here for all and here for good. Ryan Cunningham with you here tonight as we get set for our tools for the game, brought to you this evening on KOVC. And one of the big tools that we're going to talk about is the block for the Vikings. Michelle Micklejohn told us at the beginning of the season that she wanted her team to institute the block as a big part of what it is they do. She believes in it, and you're always waiting to find out, has the team bought in? I think the evidence is there that the team has bought in, because two middles for the Vikings, Danielle Hagler and Morgan Freegee, have more blocks as a duo than Mayville State University has as a team coming into this one tonight, and that's how potent the block has been for the Vikings. The tools of the game will include Danielle Hagler, the sophomore out of Candor, North Dakota, and Morgan Freegee, the sophomore out of Edmore, North Dakota. Danielle, the former North Star Bearcat, her mom, Marla, the former Bearcat head coach, is here tonight, and Morgan Freegee, the standout at Langdon area, Edmore, Munich. They're together with 96 blocks between the two. Hagler, 141 kills, 53 blocks, and she's hitting .406 for the season, which is blistering. Morgan Freegee, 125 kills, 43 blocks, hitting at .256 for the season. And then, of course, you have Bailey Nelson with 177 kills, leading the team in that category, hitting .268. she gets a lot more opportunities because she's a main part of the offense. But what you can see jumping off the page for the Vikings is twofold. The attention that teams have to pay to Bailey Nelson is opening the middle, and that's why you're seeing Danielle Hagler, Morgan Freege come up with great hitting percentages of 406 and 256. But the other part of it, by the time you throw in Bailey Nelson's blocks with another 18, you're talking about 114 blocks in those three players. Now, over to Mayville State. Leading blocker on the season is Thyra Paterick at 31 blocks for the year, and Madison McKinnon at 29 blocks for the year. 13 more blocks from Elora Pesa, and Samantha Pesa at 13 blocks as well. Throw all those together, you start to approach maybe 90 on the season. You're looking at 86 at that point, or rather, 86 at that point, but you're not closing in on the type of blocking numbers that Valley City State has put together. Also, a couple of key factors for tonight. The Vikings have two reigning Players of the Week in the North Star Athletic Association that come into this one. Sadie Hansen, who runs the team. Hansen's out to 615 assists on the year. She was named the Setter of the Week for the second straight week in the North Star. And J.C. Richter was the Libero, or Defensive Player of the Week. She's out to 233 digs on the year. Back to Mayville State and their tools for the game. You heard Samantha Pesa and Elora Pesa. These two have been pacing Mayville State in a couple of different sports for a while. They're multi-sport athletes. They play basketball as well at Mayville State. Pesa's a junior out of Barnesville, Minnesota. That's Samantha. And Elora Pesa is a senior, and she comes to this program as well from Barnesville, Minnesota. Actually, a grad student for Elora Pesa back on the COVID year, as is Bailey Nelson for Valley City State. Those two players know what they're doing, and they know what they're doing extremely well. One of the main differences tonight is that Mayville's going to stick in a 6-2 offense. They're going to split their setting responsibilities. So we'll see Peyton Richter, 172 assists on the year, and then this is why they do it. It's more of a 5-2, or some call it a 7-2 offense. Elora Pesa, when she's in the back row, can set for Mayville State. When she rotates to the front row, you'll see Peyton Richter come into the back row, and Elora takes over as that hitter position. So she'll go both ways, and that can turn defenses around in a hurry. So we'll see if that lineup that is different, not exactly awkward, it's done. It's just sort of a not something you see on a regular basis. We'll see if that lineup ends up turning around that potent block from Valley City State tonight. More as we continue on our pregame report, brought to you by Sanford Health Valley City. Still to come, our starting lineups for tonight's matchup. So we'll get to those and tell you who's going to be on the floor first for these two rivals tonight. The Vikings are 13-3, 1-0 in North Star Athletic Association. The Comets making their first conference start of the year. They come in at 8-3, and the rivalry game is on between the Vikings and Mayville State. Our pregame report continues next, brought to you by Sanford Health Valley City. Here for all, here for good. This is Viking Volleyball, and the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
CHI Mercy Health of Valley City has openings for full-time or part-time CNAs, occupational therapist, and certified occupational therapy assistant. They're also seeking a full-time nutrition service supervisor with a $5,000 sign-on bonus available for this position. CHI Mercy Health of Valley City also has openings for registered nurses, full-time or part-time, with a $15,000 sign-on bonus available. For more information and to apply, head to mercyhospitalvalleycity.org under the Careers tab.
Are you on the right financial path? Are all your financial professionals on the same page? At LaRue Lockout Financial, you can be assured that your investment professional and tax professional are working together. Call Ryan LaRue at 701-845-6938 or James M. Lockout at CPA 701-845-1660. Services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, and securities offered through Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA and SIPC.
Ivy Real Estate Group, your locally owned real estate brokerage, is cheering for the home team. Listen to KOVC for the Ivy Real Estate Group Player of the Game following every Valley City Highliner and VCSU Vikings game.
Why choose professional eye care centers? Let me count the whys. First, there are now 4 great doctors to see. Dr. Frank, Dr. Freilich, Dr. Jangula, and now welcoming Dr. Bond. Next is their many locations. You can now see one of their spectacular doctors in Jamestown, Valley City, Carrington, and Edgeley. easily. And finally, their fantastic frame selection. And yes, all of their frames and lenses are backed by warranty. Visit ProEyeCareCenters.com and make an appointment today. Professional Eye Care Centers, clearly the best.
Grotberg Electric believes in quality first, taking pride in the work and standing behind every project they do. They bring together the power, technology, and experience to keep your business online. The success of Grotberg Electric depends on three major ideals: the quality of their products, the commitment to their customers, and most of all, their customer service. Call Grotberg Electric today at 845-3010 or visit them online, grotbergelectric.com.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
Welcome you back to the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse tonight for Viking Volleyball. The Vikings get set to take on Mayville State University tonight here at the Fieldhouse. Again, a new place for us. We don't typically get here for volleyball, and that's okay, I think. In the long run, we love Gratian Gym. Very intimate setting that we have at Gratian Gym, and so that gives us the opportunity to get over to kind of the place on campus that everybody sort of loves at that point, and it gives us sort of that extra feel that we have as far as the opportunity to take in kind of one of those older gyms. Small, doesn't take but about 100 people or so to make that thing rock. But tonight, with some of the extras that are expected in this one, we end up in a situation where we're expecting a little bit bigger crowd, and that means tonight we get ready here at the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. And what you're hearing across the way is that Comet student section that's traveled extremely well tonight. There's a huge sea of blue and white over there in what is typically the section for the home fans, but we don't have the full set of bleachers pulled out where we sit tonight. And that means that the Vikings, who have decided to go with a blackout format tonight, are sitting in the middle and the end across the way from us on what would be the west end of the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. And tonight we're in the east end. And yeah, you can hear those student sections getting ruckus at this point already, and I think that's just fine. We're looking forward to what should be a fun atmosphere tonight. Let's take a look at our starting lineups for tonight's matchup for the Vikings. And our starting lineups for tonight's matchup are brought to you by CHI Mercy Health Valley City. Hello, Human Kindness. The starting libero tonight is J.C. Richter, a 5'7" sophomore from Linton, North Dakota. Defensive specialist Reagan Bogenreef. She's been great as a true freshman, 5'9", out of Fargo, North Dakota. The setter is Sadie Hansen, 5'9", junior from Oaks, North Dakota, the reigning setter of the week in the North Star Athletic Association. The outside hitters tonight that will get the start: Emma Lucas, a 6'1" sophomore from Argosville, North Dakota. And the right side hitter tonight is Marty Scutchings, a 6-foot senior, a transfer from Kelvington, Saskatchewan. The middle hitters tonight: Danielle Hegler, 5'11" sophomore from Candu, North Dakota, and Bailey Nelson, a 6-foot senior from Argosville, North Dakota. The Viking starters tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. I think it's safe to say they made the right choice of moving this one over to the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse tonight, because we've got a great crowd and a great atmosphere for college volleyball this evening here at the Fieldhouse. It's the Vikings in Mayville State. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification before we get ready to throw the ball up in this one. You're listening to Viking Volleyball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley.
This is 1490 KOVC AM Valley City and 96.3 K242CZ Valley City.
The voice of the Valley.
Well, I can't tell you that the Viking student section has been well behaved during the announcement of these starting lineups, because there is a steady chorus of boos that are coming down tonight on top of the Mayville State University players as they are being introduced in their starting roles here this evening. So, yeah, we kind of expected something like this. Whenever these two teams get together in this building, it's usually a pretty solid affair, and we're looking forward to that affair playing itself out again here tonight between Valley City State and Mayville State. We've taken a look at the starting lineups that we have for you this evening for the Vikings, and now those starting lineups are going to be announced, and you can hear the other side of this thing starting to get into play now as well. That'll make it for an interesting night when the Vikings don't score and the Vikings have a play that goes against them this evening. We'll see exactly how the Vikings handle that. They're in their home digs, but you wouldn't know it tonight just because of what we have going on with all the student section buzz that's in this one. Mayville State University starting lineups for tonight. Starting at the libero will be Natalie Hadrava, a 5'8" senior out of LaPorte, Minnesota, and she's been a good one throughout the course of her run at Mayville State, and a very, very good libero in the conference as well. She's put up some big numbers throughout the course of that time. Elora Pesa will get the start as a setter tonight. She's a 5'11" grad student out of Barnesville, Minnesota. The right side hitter tonight will be Abby Cox, a 5'9" sophomore from Oaks, North Dakota. Also starting at a right position will be Nicole Corton. She'll play outside to start, a 5'9" senior from Sauk Center, Minnesota. An outside hitter will be Samantha Pesa, a 5'9" junior from Barnesville, Minnesota. The middles will be Thyra Paterick, 5'8" senior from Hatton, North Dakota. And also at middle tonight will be Nicole Corton. I believe we mentioned Nicole Corton already. My apologies. I think we've gone past the 7 that we're supposed to announce. We have. That's the starting lineup for Mayville State University. Coaches shake hands. The new coach for Mayville State is Katie Austin, and she had a very nice conversation before the matchup tonight with Michelle Micklejohn, the head coach at Valley City State, who has come here as an assistant from Mayville State. And boy, we should be set for what will be a great rivalry matchup in this one tonight with an electric crowd that's here. A lot of the football players from Valley City State came in from practice and just kind of stayed here at the field house to get ready for what should be a good one. A lot of smiles on the floor right now. I think everybody knows what we're in for here tonight. Vikings will take their positions to our right this evening, and Mayville State will take their positions to our left tonight. Natalie Hadrava is set to check in to get things started, so Hadrava will come onto the floor for Mayville State, replacing Thea Paterick. And the Vikings will send J.C. Richter out. The Comets are in their traditional blue with black and white. The libero in white. The Vikings liberos in white as well, as J.C. Richter comes in, or I should say cream rather, with the Cardinal in gray. And the Vikings are in black uniforms tonight with Cardinal and white. And the Vikings will serve first this evening. It will be Sadie Hansen stepping back beyond the line. She serves from right to left. This thing is underway this evening as Abby Cox makes the pass. They go back to the middle for Cox and Sadie Hansen with a dig, but Mayville State will watch the ball hit the floor. Hansen made a nice dig of the play on Abby Cox running middle, but in the long run, the point will go to Mayville State, and it's 1-0 in favor of the Comets. First kill for Abby Cox. Her mom is here tonight as well. Had a chance to talk with her. Sadie Hansen of Valley City State and Abby Cox of Mayville State were teammates for the Oaks Tornadoes back in the day. Mayville State serves, the Vikings with it. Hansen setting to the outside. Scutchings got on the back line. They run Marty Scutchings on the outside to get things started tonight. First kill for Marty Scutchings. 120 kills on the season for the transfer. In her third school, she was a standout at Lake Region State College in Devils Lake, and then spent some time at Columbia International before coming here for her senior year. J.C. Richter, light serve. Hadrava sent it over, free ball. Hagler spiked it, and Hadrava dug it up with one hand, and the Vikings have it back. Middle set, Hagler tipping. A layout to cover it for Cortuba. It comes back up front, back to the right side for Scutchings, and a pass coming from Elora Pesa for Mayville State. They keep it on the outside. This one's tipped back across the net, back to the near side. Scutchings sending it over, and again Hadrava sent it back on a free ball. Scutchings right side, missed the sideline. Point will go to Mayville State. It's 2-1 Comets on the air. Boy, there were some solid plays in that mix. Couple of huge digs. Hadrava made one. The Vikings made another. In the long run, Mayville State will have a 2-1 lead here in the first. And we'll see Kylie Baumgarn, a senior from Lakota, North Dakota, coming on to make a jump serve of it. Backing up Hansen, set near side. Nelson through the defensive scoring. Bailey Nelson from the outside has her first kill. And the Vikings will make a pair of changes. We'll see Delaney Clark coming in for the first time tonight. Sophomore out of Bismarck, North Dakota. She'll play in the back row, taking Daniel Hagler out of the matchup. And Morgan Freege will come into the front row as the Vikings get a block started. In the meantime, Mayville State struggling to make a substitution here. They were trying to get Madison McKinnon back into the game after Kylie Baumgarn was put out for serving purposes. They were summoned back to the substitution zone. And the Vikings will serve. Delaney Clark comes in to send the ball over. We're tied at 2 in the opening set. Clark serve handled by Hadrava on the pass. Set middle, the attack from Pesa long. Point to the Vikings, and it's 3-2. Valley City State with their first lead of the opening set. Scoreboard brought to you tonight by LaRue Laco Financial, and it shows 3-2 Vikings. Here in the openers, Delaney Clark gets set again. Good line drive, serve to the middle. Taken back row, by Pesa. Corton powering through a block and scoring. They come to the right side, does Mayville State. They've tried it a couple of times. Corton swinging out there, coming up with a kill. Corton with 72 kills coming into the matchup tonight. A nice complimentary player for what they've had around Samantha Pesa and Elora Pesa this season. Mayville State will send Peyton Richter into the matchup to take over the setting responsibilities. She serves. Freege getting through a block. Free ball back. Freege into the net on an error. Tried to make a play that was a bit too aggressive. She was stepping back and tried to get a hand on a ball that she thought she should have eaten up. Might have been the better choice to make an offensive play to keep things rolling rather than go after one for a kill. 4-3, Mayville State with a 1-point lead. Deep serve again. Delaney Clark with a pass. Hansen right setting. Scutchings blocked. Double team block up front. This may be called double contact, but call it the block on that far side. And Mayville State, who hasn't blocked it a lot, Thyra Paterick has. She comes in with 31 blocks. The leading blocker for Mayville State ends up shutting down Valley City State's right side, and it's 5-3 Comets here in the opener. Delaney Clark to the outside. Bailey Nelson off a tip. Covered back row again by the Comets. To the outside for Pesa on the deep push. Found the far sideline. And Samantha Pesa with her first kill tonight. Makes it 6-3 Mayville State. Comets have won 4 consecutive rallies. And the Viking defense will try to come together to see where that block of theirs is right now. But Mayville State has swung the ball around the net very well to open up some pins offensively. Set to serve again, Peyton Richter. Line drive serve far side. Delaney Clark there, good pass. Hansen setting middle. Hadrava trying to dig it up. Cannot on Morgan Freege's effort. Morgan Freege comes up with the attack right in the middle of the net. Vikings go to their middle to score. They're back within 2 at 6-4. Valley City State will send Ellie Rush into the matchup. Sophomore out of Sisters, Oregon. One of the very few players that this roster has that is not from North Dakota. Rush's serve, a good one to the far side. Pass comes from Mayville State to the near point, and a block on an attack on the right side. Give Bailey Nelson and Morgan Freege a team-up effort. Bailey Nelson and Morgan Freege getting together for a block between the two, shutting down Mayville State's right side. And the lead for the Comets has been cut to 1 at 6-5 on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Ellie Rush, line drive serve, tough pass from Condon, but she made it to the outside. Pesa tipping, there's net contact, and it's by the Comets. Elora Pesa trying to push on that outside into the net. The Vikings come back with 3 straight. We're even at 6 here in the opening set after 12 rallies. Ellie Rush back to serve again right in the middle of that service line. Rush surveying her options and sends one into the net. Service error for the Vikings. You can tell that she's out there to move things around with that serve, and she got more aggressive as she went through her service rotation. Point goes back to Mayville State. They'll take a 7-6 lead, and Samantha Pesa will step back to serve for the Comets. Pesa serve on the way long. A service error each. And the point goes back to the Vikings to tie things up. Bailey Nelson will step out for Valley City State. Lexi LaRue, hometown girl, 5'8" junior from Valley City, steps in to be her defensive replacement in the back row. And this will bring Emma Lucas back into the matchup for the Vikings. Good short serve that time from LaRue. Hadrava, a tough pass on it, and we're going to see a double called against Mayville State on the set. It was in secondary set. Thyra Paterick was out there having to set it. They wanted to run Elora Pesa. She's in the front row now. Their normal setter up front, but in the long run, LaRue's serve didn't give Hadrava much to work with on a pass. That turned out to be a big winner. Abby Cox, and LaRue comes up with a dig on Cox's attack. It went back. Pesa from the right side is long, and the Vikings will reclaim the lead. 9-7 Valley City State. They had it a rally ago. They'll build on that lead and take a 2-point edge after 16 rallies here tonight. LaRue, a fantastic defensive play for the Vikings. She stands ready to serve again. This time more air, and Hadrava makes a good pass up the middle. The attack is blocked, but blocked wide. It came from Thyra Paterick getting an opportunity to swing up front. And we saw Morgan Frigie get hands on it, but unable to keep it in the surface of play. And the lead for the Vikings is cut to 1 at 9-8. Natalie Hadrava goes back to serve for Mayville State. She'll go far side of the floor. A righty on the left-hand sideline. Pass out of the back row coming from Clark. Right side, the set goes to Morgan Frigie. Dug up in the back row. An attack from Cox. That is a tip. Good layout coming from Ellie Rush to keep it afloat. Clark has to push from the back row. Short game up front. Pesa gets stuffed by Emma Lucas. Elora Pesa coming out to the right side to run some speed, and Emma Lucas says none of that. Emma Lucas goes up to record a block. And the Vikings have a 10-8 lead here in the opener. Valley City State will send back Reagan Bogenreef, one of the few freshmen that was going to come into this program when the Vikings returned everybody from their roster a year ago. But the West Fargo Cheyenne standout has done a nice job of standing out for the Vikings this year when she's had a chance. Abby Cox tipping and scoring off that right side. Abby Cox has a lethal left hand, and she's got her second kill tonight for Mayville State. When you run the lefty through the front row and you can disguise her, and Abby Cox isn't tall, so she's a nice candidate to hide. She can end up doing some damage when she has the opportunity to tip. Elora Pesa serving for Mayville State. Up front, Hagler got blocked, but Bogenreef covered it. Hansen tips on second contact. Hadrava dug that up, and now a tip back the other way from McKinnon. And McKinnon will score for the Comets. A tip battle right in the middle of the net. Sadie Hansen tried to speed up the game, but Natalie Hadrava was almost out there like a linebacker spying. She knew that if Hansen made the contact, it was her job to pass it. We're tied at 10 after 20 rallies on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Not anymore. Danielle Hagler running right side. They don't send Hagler out to the right very often, but when they need to play one of your best hitters at 406 on the year, take her out to a place where maybe the defense isn't looking for her, and the Vikings have an 11-10 lead. Sadie Hansen serving. Short serve. Hadrava made the pass. Second contact. Tipped over by Elora Pesa. The Vikings with it. An attack up front coming from Scutchings. It got blocked. Stays on the outside pin. Lucas over a block. Passed by Hadrava. Back set to the near side for Corton. That gets dug up by Sadie Hansen. Falling to the floor was Scutchings. She tripped trying to back up into a defensive spot, and the pass went to her. She tried to get up and recover, and that's got Michelle Micklejohn up and off the bench looking for a towel as we're tied up at 11. Scutchings was figuring to come into the play. I think they had called right side, but in the long run when she was backing up to try to find an angle to approach the net, she tripped, must have caught a heel, and then when she got back up, she was still able to make a play out of it, but not enough of a play. So after 22 rallies, even at 11 apiece between 8-3 Mayville State and 13-3 Valley City State. The rivalry turning out to be everything that we wanted here tonight. Peyton Richter is back in the matchup for Mayville State, and we'll see the serve coming from Emily Condon. Back row, Bogenreef makes the pass. Hansen sets Lucas right side blocked. It was covered by Hansen. Comes out to the outside this time. Another block from Mayville State into a tip battle. Sent back by Scutchings. Mayville State with it. Pesa getting through a block and scoring. Samantha Pesa with her second kill. Vikings did a nice job of trying to run some offense when their play had been broken on a couple of occasions, but Mayville State had the momentum as the Vikings were on their heels trying to find ways to play the volleyball. 12-11, Mayville State with a 1-point lead here in the first. Emily Condon stands ready. Serve going towards the back row. Emma Lucas with a pass, set up the middle, and Danielle Hagler takes a block from McKinnon. On the near side, Scutchings trying to tip. That's illegal contact. Illegal contact against Scutchings. You could see it coming. Her hand went way back, and that's going to have Michelle Micklejohn asking for timeout as the Comets take a 2-point lead here in the first. 13-11 after 24 rallies on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. We have a timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. This is Viking Volleyball, the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
Lever's Foods, best quality, best price. Lever's Foods, best service, they're nice. Lever's Foods, they make everything right. Lever's Foods.
All this week at Lever's Foods, rake in the savings on preferred Angus boneless beef arm roast, $4.88 a pound. New crop Honeycrisp apples, just $1.99 a pound. And Brewpub Latza Matza Pizza, only $6.89 each. Delivery is available by calling 845-1732. Remember to observe caution in and around the area during construction.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
13-11 Mayville State on the LaRue Locko Financial scoreboard as we welcome you back to the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse here at Valley City State this evening. Individual numbers on a timeout taken by the Vikings. Samantha Pesa, 2 kills to lead Mayville State. No one else with more than 1. Correction, Abigail Cox has 2 as well. And for Valley City State, a kill apiece for Bailey Nelson, Danielle Hegler, Morgan Freege, and Marty Scutchings. The Vikings have had their hitting issues so far tonight. That's been a bit of a telltale sign as Mayville State has the 2-point lead at the end of 24 rallies at 13-11. Serve from Condon again out of the Viking timeout. Bogenreef making a pass. Lucas in the middle. Got off a block, but it's taken by Hadrava. Up the middle into McKinnon with an attack. Big save out of the back row coming from Bogenreef. It's back to Mayville State. Pace up from the outside, and again it's Bogenreef. Long run for Hanson to get to it. Leaves it for Lucas on the outside as he scores. Emma Lucas with her first kill tonight. Couldn't come on at a better time. The Vikings had to run a couple of broken plays as they were in some issues, and now Marty Scutchings is going to again come out with a towel and mop some things up. You've got a humid atmosphere. Of course, it rained throughout the day. This is not a building that sheds air particularly well. You like that during the winter, but sometimes on these humid fall nights when you move something like this in here, it can get a little sticky. J.C. Richter, the libero, will serve, and Hadrava backing up to make the play. Up front, a push going deep and down from Mayville State's Nicole Corton. Second kill for Nicole Corton. We'll see McKinnon coming out of the matchup. And the Comets will send Kylie Baumgarn back into play to do the serving as the Comets take a 14-12 lead. A somewhat critical time here now. We're in the middle stages of this set. Is somebody going to step up and take some momentum? Service error coming from Baumgarn. We'll see if the Vikings can use that to build that momentum. Bogenreef out to the front row for Freege, and Danielle Hegler out to the back row for Delaney Clark. The Vikings will serve down 1 at 14-13 on the LaRue Locko Financial scoreboard. Delaney Clark stands in the middle of the service line and sends it over. Low line drive serve taken by Condon up the middle. A push, and Sadie Hansen was there to dig it up for the Vikings. Bailey Nelson, and Hadrava passes it free ball, tipped back down by Nelson. Comets make a play. J.C. Richter digs up a second tempo contact. A hammer up front coming from Freege, dug up by Hadrava and sent back over. Now a deep push by the Vikings. Hadrava did that. It's kicked back over by Pesa. Richter with the pass. Scutchings attacking from the right pin. That gets blocked and covered. Samantha Pesa from the outside. There's Richter to make the play. Now to the near side. Bailey Nelson fighting through the block and scoring for Valley City State. There were some excellent defensive plays there by a couple of people who know how to get it done. Natalie Hadrava, we talked about her in the pregame report. She's a senior. She's experienced. She knows where to go to make plays for Mayville State. And for the Vikings, J.C. Richter, who has just been a standout athlete since coming to Valley City State her freshman year a year ago. She was an immediate starter on the volleyball team. Her mom has coached volleyball down at Linton HMB. But she's also a dual sport athlete, and she was instantly a minute getter on the Viking women's basketball team a year ago as well. Mayville State receiving serve. They come to Condon right side, got off the net. Scutchings has to pass it over at a free ball. Mayville State a chance. They push middle out of a set up front. It's countered, and Bailey Nelson getting through a block. It's saved by Hadrava, and there's an attempt up front again by Pesa that goes into the net for the Vikings off the pass, and Mayville State will end up winning a broken play. There were a couple attempts there where the Vikings thought they had the winner, but Hadrava has really stolen the match tonight for Mayville State. She has made tremendous plays for the Comets that have allowed them to run second, third chances offensively. You don't get a lot of those at this level. Scutchings, the attack down, no, wide. They're going to get this to Mayville State. Boy, that one was close on that back line. No protest from the Vikings. They're going to say it actually went around the antenna. That's going to be the call. Scutchings hit it from beyond the antenna. It looked like it had found the back line, but our R1 tonight says that went around the antenna. Comets by 2. It's 16-14. J.C. Richter backing up to make a play. Set outside. Bailey Nelson blocked, but blocked wide. The point goes to the Vikings. Nelson will get a kill. Third tonight for Bailey Nelson. Vikings back within 1 at 16-15. On the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard, Ellie Rush is back into the matchup for Valley City State to do the serving and taking a position in that back row. Rush stands ready. Approaches middle of the service line. Good hard line drive serve. Mayville State looking to run some offense out of it. Didn't get the pass they were looking for. The Vikings got broken in the back row on their pass. Richter saved it, sent outside. Pesa down. Samantha Pesa with her third kill. Mayville State just continues to be able to find offense out of broken plays, and that's been one of the big differences between these two clubs tonight. When the Vikings have had a broken play, they've been defensive in a mindset of just keeping the rally alive. When Mayville State has a broken play, they've got a player or two up at the front row that says, no, I can work with this. I can find a way and make something happen offensively. And we see more mopping going on that Viking side of the floor. Every time a player hits the floor tonight, this is going to be an issue. Looks like it's dried up to the best of their ability now. 17-15, Mayville State by 2 here in the opening set after 32 rallies of play on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Samantha Pesa to serve. Serve taken up by Delaney Clark, tough pass. Richter's going to try to get some offense moving. Bailey Nelson well outside the line, hit that one long. 3-point lead now for the Comets at 18-15. This is a crucial time. Vikings need a side out in the worst way, and they've used their first time out of the set. They have only one more to work with here. Pesa serving again, middle of the back row. Clark backing up front Hansen having to tip on second contact. Great adjustment by Sadie Hansen. She realized that ball was going to be behind her and towards the net, so she worked with it and just came up with a second contact attack. A little tip from the setter cuts the lead to 2. Now the Vikings need to make a couple of big defensive plays. Lexi LaRue back into the matchup for the Vikings. Serve down the near sideline, taken by Samantha Pesa on the pass. They'll steady Laura Pesa right side whistle, and the Comets commit a double. Sticky on the set, coming to a Laura Pesa, who made a good swing off the right pin. And Pesa is over talking with our R1. I believe that's Chris Mahoney that's on the ladder tonight. That conversation comes to an end. Vikings back within 1 at 18-17. LaRue to serve again. Looper near side. Samantha Pesa, tough pass of it. Stays on the attack line. Abby Cox going court wide. LaRue making a pass. Hansen sets right side. And a tip for Lucas that's blocked wide by Alora Pesa. A kill for Lucas. And the Vikings have tied it up at 18. They've made a couple of defensive plays. And Valley City State with 3 in a row has brought us even after 36 rallies. LaRue to serve near sideline. Samantha Pesa, this time better pass to run the offense. Cox is blocked on the outside. She'll get it back again on that outside pin. Up and over the block this time. Delaney Clark played it. Emma Lucas from the outside for the Vikings. Hadrava makes the pass for Mayville State. They come back right side for Laura Pesa. Blocked. The Vikings carry offense. Free G from the middle on second contact. Short game up front. That could have been illegal contact. The Vikings want it. They don't get it. Lucas from the back row sends one over. Mayville State with control. Back again to Pesa. Right side blocked up front. Morgan Free Emma Lucas teaming up. Give Frigi a second contact. Give Lucas a second contact on the block. 4 rallies in a row. The Vikings now claim a 1-point lead at 19-18 in the deep stages of set number 1. Lexi LaRue stands ready. LaRue with a short serve to the middle. Hadrava down to make the pass. Good one up front. The attack coming and down. That will come from Thyra Paterick. Known for her blocking, not so much her swinging. That's a play that Mayville State probably reserves when they need to catch a defense off guard, but Paterick comes up with a kill, and it's now a 19-19 tie here in the opening set. Hadrava back to serve for the Comets. Hadrava stands ready, short game, and a big pass coming from Delaney Clark to keep it alive into a tip. Another tip, this time coming from McKinnon. The Vikings have it back. Lucas from the outside. Hadrava's there. Set middle. Tip again from McKinnon. This time Delaney Clark ran it down. Second contact, another tip. Illegal contact from the Comets, and the Vikings win the point after the tip coming from Sadie Hansen. The pass from Hadrava went right into the hands of Abby Cox, and her hands down by her waist. You're typically going to see the illegal contact call there, although it looked like it came off fairly cleanly. But again, under the volleyball prolonged contact, they called it a double, which is kind of that catch-all type of play. Now it's 2019. The Vikings are the first to get to the red zone tonight with 20 points on the board. Reagan Bogenreef, good hard line drive serve. Hadrava, a good pass. They keep it middle. McKinnon loads up and fires. And Madison McKinnon with her second kill tonight for Mayville State. Individual numbers here after 40 rallies of the opening set. Samantha Pesa, 4 kills to pace Mayville State, 2 each for Abigail Cox and Nicole Corton. The Vikings, Bailey Nelson with 3, pacing Valley City State from the kill category. Emma Lucas around a block, that's going to score. Emma Lucas going hard towards the back row. By my numbers, that's going to give Emma her third tonight by their numbers as well. So Lucas and Bailey Nelson, high school teammates at Northern Cass, now co-lead the Vikings with 3 kills each. Danielle Hagler, Morgan Freege, Sadie Hansen, Marty Scutchings each with 1. Hansen serving. Hadrava makes the play for the Comets. McKinnon tips to the middle, kept alive by Hansen. Lucas standing, fires back row. Hadrava pecked it down. Corton right side pinned down. Nicole Corton on the right side for the Comets. My numbers have Corton with 3 now in the night as well, and a very crisp hitting. She was 400 on the hitting percentage going into that play. 21-21, even after 42 rallies in the opening set. And we'll see Emily Condon back to serve for Mayville State. Condon stands ready on the right sideline, and the righty sends it court wide. Emma Lucas out of the back left corner, kept up front. Danielle Hagler having to tip. Lots of contact. One's going to get called. It was illegal contact against the Comets. They were underhand tipping all the way around the net off the return from Valley City State. 22-21, Vikings by 1 here in the late stages of the first. Serve on the way from J.C. Richter. Pass comes from Samantha Pace. Elora sends it back to Samantha Pace off the right pin. It's pushed back over by Bailey Nelson, and an error by McKinnon will give a point to the Vikings, and that could be a big swing. Timeout going to be taken by Mayville State as the Vikings go up 2 in the late stages of the opening set. 23-21 Vikings on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. We have a timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. This is Viking Volleyball on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the Voice of the Valley.
Hi, this is Clint from Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in Valley City, your only locally owned pharmacy since 1989. When you're locally owned, you care about your community and your customers. We're here for you from 9 to 5:30 weekdays and Saturdays 9 to 1. We offer mail out with no additional product fee, and we offer an automated system for convenient refills. And as always, Dr. Natalie Meyer, Terry, Rachel, Cindy, Christina, or myself will answer your calls at 845-5280. Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in beautiful downtown Valley City.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
From the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse tonight, rare opportunity to bring volleyball across campus, still in the south end of town. Volleyball going on in the north end of town tonight as well. They're set for a 7:15 first serve between Valley City High School and Fargo Shanley tonight. Here, 23-21. Vikings by 2 in the opening set. Mayville State led by 3 in the later stages. The Vikings have clawed back. J.C. Richter serving the good jump serve. Pesa making the pass. They keep it middle. McKinnon running speed game. Scores. Madison McKinnon speeding things up for Mayville State. Little short set for Madison McKinnon. And when a team can speed it up, well, you're just going to find some really good success, especially when you get a pass to work with, and they definitely had one. Lead cut to 1. Mayville State makes a change and a service error off of a substitution. Tori Richter, freshman out of Castleton, North Dakota, comes in to serve, pushes one beyond the back line, and the Vikings have set point after that service error. That is a very interesting substitution by Katie Austin, the head coach. for Mayville State as she brings in a true freshman, 23-22, looking to come up with a big serve, and the Vikings are one big dig perhaps away from clinching the first set of this rivalry matchup. Tomorrow night, Highlander football back here on the Voice of the Valley, KOVC. It's homecoming for Valley City High School as well as Valley City State this week. Tomorrow night, the Highlanders will go up against the West Fargo Horace Hawks. Pregame at 6:30 and kickoff 7 o'clock. Jerry Edwards, the call from Hannah Field. And I'll be back with you coming up on Saturday afternoon. It'll be the Vikings and guess who? Mayville State, the Comets. This time homecoming volleyball. Homecoming football. We got volleyball tonight. Pregame coverage. On Saturday, we'll start with the Viking tailgate show at noon and our Viking pregame report at 1 o'clock. And the kickoff set for 2 as the Vikings and Mayville State will meet again. I see Rocky Larson, the athletic director and head football coach at Mayville State, over patrolling that student fan base. Good to see Rocky here, moving up to that athletic director's position after a lot of turmoil at the end of last year in the athletic department at Mayville State University, trying to right the ship. 24-22, Vikings serving set point. Delaney Clark serve dug up, and Corton gets blocked, and it's on the near sideline. Waiting for a call. It's going to go to Valley City State. They'll say that the block is on the sideline. The two officials confer. The block against Corton on the right pin gives the Vikings a set 1 victory. Valley City State takes home the opening set, 25-22, with a big block out on the right pin of Mayville State's offense to finish off that first set and give the Vikings a 1-0 edge in the matchup tonight. We'll have our intermission report and set number 2 coming up in just a couple of moments, so do stay with us. This is Viking Volleyball on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the Voice of the Valley.
This is Amy Heim, nurse practitioner with Sanford Health. Well child checks are important visits for children of every age. Yearly well child checks are recommended for children 3 and older and more frequently for those younger than 3. It is at these visits that growth, development, and preventative care are addressed in an effort to keep children as healthy as possible. Recommended immunizations are also discussed and provided at these visits. Call 742-3267 to schedule at your local Sanford Health Clinic in Ellendale, Foreman, Gwinner, Lemoore, Lisbon, or Oaks.
Valley City State University, it's an exciting time as we experience enrollment growth. Support of the VCSU V500 Scholarship Program is making a difference, now more than ever. This is Al LaFave, president of VCSU. This rich tradition of V500 is as much a part of our future as it is our past. Involvement in this program helps students succeed at VCSU. Please consider joining us with a membership today and keep VCSU moving forward. Visit give.vcsu.edu today to make a difference.
When gathering around the table with family and friends or enjoying a quiet meal by yourself, make certain you have the finest cuts of meat from Valley Meat Supply. Quality steaks and pork chops that make every bite a true delight. Valley Meat offers a wide variety to satisfy every taste and budget, including incredible sausage, several varieties of cheese, baked beans, award-winning beef jerky and snack sticks, and a great selection of spices. Valley Meat Supply, your locally owned, locally sourced meat market, located on West Main Street in Valley City.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
Welcome back to the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse at the end of one. The Vikings with a 25-22 lead on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard tonight as they do switch ends this evening. In some sort of volleyball out there, you might not see the switching of ends. In the college level, you will. Kind of came to an end after COVID or during COVID. They didn't want members of opposite teams walking by one another and spreading coronavirus, so they stopped doing the switch. But it's good to see it coming back here at the college level. The Vikings win a first set by the numbers they probably should not have as we take you through our intermission report tonight. And our intermission report tonight is brought to you by Rambo. We're in the business of making you look good. The Vikings hit just 0-61 in that first set. The Comets were twice as good at 122. 14 kills in 49 attempts. The Vikings 10 kills in 49 attempts. But the block, probably a big part of it. The Vikings had a solo block and 6 assists. Mayville State had 2 assisted blocks. And I guess at this point, if you're a Michelle Micklejohn team, you're going to hang your hat on that block. We talked about it in our pregame report being a big advantage. The Vikings with just their two middles, Morgan Frigie and Danielle Hagler, more blocks than the roster for Mayville State, and that block turned out to be a big difference, even though Mayville State out-hit the Vikings by a 2-1 clip. And it's a 1-0 lead for the Vikings at 25-22 at the end of one. And Marty Scutchings comes up with her best offensive play from the outside tonight to make it 1-0 Valley City State. Individual numbers as we start this second set. Samantha Pesa, 4 kills for the Comets. Nicole Corton and Madison McKinnon with 3-2 for Thyra Paterick. The Vikings, 3 each from Bailey Nelson. And Emma Lucas with a nice first set for the Vikings. Pass coming from Cox. McKinnon running right side pin. Covered by Sadie Hansen. Vikings out of system here. It's going to be Hansen saving one out of the back row. Comets a chance to run. Elora Payson to the right side. Condon off a block. Kept alive by Bogan Reed. Bailey Nelson tipping from the outside. Good run for Elora Payson to cover that tip. Abigail Cox is blocked, and it's another big one. Danielle Hagler and Marty Scutchings with a block for the Vikings to make it 2-0 Valley City State. The blocking numbers in that first half. The Vikings had 2 assists from Bailey Nelson, Emma Lucas with a solo and an assist, and Morgan Frigie, 3 more assists. That young lady may break some records in blocking for Valley City State at the end of her career. McKinnon tipping, Sadie Hansen comes up, Hagler sending it back, and a quick return by Elora Pace on first contact. Bailey Nelson saves the play for the Vikings. Another tip, and again, Sadie Hansen steps into it. Bogenreef running for Scutchings on the right side. Hadrava was able to run that down. Set to the right for Condon for Mayville State, and she mishit it. And the Vikings have started off the second with a 3-0 lead. 3-0 Vikings on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. And J.C. Richter, the libero for Valley City State, will step back to do the serving here for the Vikings. And libero, Richter serve, taken back row, tough pass from Samantha Pesa. Condon again gets blocked. They've really followed her around in this opening rotation. Abigail Cox gets through a block and scores. And the Comets will cut the lead to 2 at 3-1. They've tried Condon on the right a couple of times. That right pin was there for Mayville State in the first set. The Vikings have made an adjustment to try to cut it off. It opens up Abigail Cox, who's undersized, but she has been impressive ever since we saw her. Just 5'9", plays an outside hitter roll. Here's a let serve that's going to be an ace. Comes off the top of the net on a hard serve from Emily Condon. And the Comets get back to within 1 at 3-2. But again, Abigail Cox, she's been in some big matches for the Oaks Tornadoes. They were in a couple of state championship matches during her career. And so she knows how to play it even though she's undersized. Here's a let serve. You can tell Emily Condon's out there trying to play that net game. The second of her service rotation was lower than the first. Vikings will get it back to a 4-2 edge. And Delaney Clark comes into the matchup for Valley City State as we have another stoppage to mop up the floor. I'll tell you what, if we were playing this over at Gratian Gymnasium tonight, I don't know that we'd get the match done. It was probably a good idea to bring this to the bubble. We just need some ventilation. Maybe that's part of that capital campaign for the Vikings here that we're talking about and getting excited about. Delaney Clark serving. Hadrava with the pass. Samantha Pesa blocked from the outside. Vikings run it down, whistle, and we're going to see a double against Mayville State. And Elora Pesa, the captain for Mayville State, is going to go over and ask for an explanation. Katie Austin, the head coach of the Comets, is asking for an explanation as well. A pair of players made contact with it, and if our officials saw it come off of one hand and then off of another, that would be first and second contact, and I think that's probably the argument that Mayville State's playing, and we're going to see a replay. It looks like a double if it's one player because you see that ball come off of one hand and then another, but if it's two players, you can do that. You make one, then you make the other, and it's first and second contact. You've only got one more to work with, but it's not a double. And here's a tip that very well should have been a double. Up front, it's McKinnon getting blocked again, and the Vikings, Morgan Frigie with another block tonight, makes it 5-2. I'm very surprised that second contact tip from Mayville State was not called a double. That ball changed direction coming off of opposite hands, and we've had a very active night in calling those. You'd think you'd get that one. That time not the case. On the outside, Pesa for Mayville State puts it down, and the Comets get back to within 2 at 5-3. McKinnon comes off, and the freshman from Mayville State, Tori Richter, a former Central Cass Squirrel. And those girls know what it's like to be in big games. State championship last year in girls basketball. Richter will serve, hit this one wide. Point will go to the Vikings, and it's 6-3, Valley City State by 3 as McKinnon will check back in. Check some up-to-date individual numbers that we have in the matchup for the Vikings. Bailey Nelson still at 3 kills. Emma Lucas with 3. Marty Scutchings with 2. Those block numbers getting big tonight for Morgan Freege. Now with a solo to go with their 3 assists from the opening set, leading blocker tonight with 4. Pesa keeping one alive, an attack coming up front. Vikings there, and the answer from Freege's wide. The Vikings are looking for a tip. They're going to get it. Mayville State's going to be called for a tip on that attempt from Freege, and Freege will come up with a kill. Vikings lobby for the tip. They get it. It's now 7-3. The Vikings on top by 4 after 10 rallies in the second, leading the match. A set to none after a 25-22 win. And here's a let serve from Ellie Rush. Be the second service error for the Vikings tonight. Comets make a change. Peyton Richter, grad student as well. A couple of their players back for a COVID year. Bailey Nelson's technically a senior. She's back for her COVID year for the Vikings. 7-4. Mayville State within 3 here in the second set. A set to the right side. Freege hit the antenna. Not much she could do with that. That pass coming from Sadie Hansen drew her off kilter. And the lead will be cut to 2. Probably going to go into the book as an attack error, but Sadie Hansen just pushed that a little bit too long for Morgan Freege to work with. Serve again from Mayville State. Delaney Clark making the pass. They'll set outside. Bailey Nelson whistle. Net contact against the Comets. Contact will be called against Thyra Paterick. And we'll see a couple of changes for for Valley City State. Lexi LaRue will come back into the matchup playing back row. Emma Lucas into the matchup playing front row. 8-5. Vikings by 3. Maybe a little bit more stagnant. More of a side out, grind out time or type of feel here in the second. Elora Pesa tipping middle. Cover out of the back row from Clark up front. Freege trying to go deep. Comets caught it. Elora Pesa on the right side tipping. Return by Freege very deep to the back row. Comets make a play. Pesa tipping, and now it's Ellie Rush that's there. Second contact, Sadie Hansen. It's dug back by Hadrava on a windmill. They set to the Vikings to Lucas, and Hadrava makes another dig. Samantha Pesa gets blocked at the net. This one struggling to be covered. Elora Pesa back to the net. Send it over free ball. Set middle. Freege attacking. It's covered out of the back row. Condon got to it with one hand. Delaney Clark there. Here's an attack coming from Hansen. Hadrava dug it up. Toe in the middle. Long is the call against Mayville State's Paterick. And the point will go to the Vikings. Paterick trying to swing out of the middle on a spirited rally between the Vikings and Comets tonight. But again, Natalie Hadrava, her numbers for Mayville State, we talked about her in the pregame report. She doesn't get the respect that she deserves in the league for how good she is. She has 22 digs after a set and a half tonight. She has been the reason why the Comets have stayed in striking distance of the Vikings and had the lead in the first. She's given her team multiple opportunities to run offense because of her ability to dig up balls. Lexi LaRue sending one over for Valley City State. This will be set to the outside. Elora Pesa got through a block. Delaney Clark is there to make the pass. Emma Lucas up front, attack, swing, partially blocked. Mayville State has it. They set middle, and the attack from Paterick is down for the Comets. Paterick getting a chance to finish that one off. It's now 9-6. Valley City State with their lead cut to 3. These two teams played a memorable series last year. The Vikings 1-5 at home, lost in 5 on the road, and lost in 5 in the opening round of the North Star Athletic Association tournament down in Watertown in a match they felt like they should have won. Emma Lucas with a tip from the outside. This will be an attack from Pesa on Mayville State's right. Covered Delaney Clark. Now the slide by Freege coming out to the right pin. A hard play for Mayville State. They were able to make it. Pesa has to send it over with a pass. Ellie Rush into the short game. Freege through a block and scores. Morgan Freege was watched throughout the course of her high school career up at Langdon area, and up and down type of player, and you thought, okay, is it Morgan Freege? And then you realize that there just wasn't much of a supporting cast in her later years at Langdon area to take some attention away from her, but now in a Viking uniform, she is shining on the block, on the attack. Really good to see that. She's always had the potential. An attack from Paterick, and now Mayville State running more of their offense through their middle blocker. Paterick comes up with another kill, and it cuts the Viking lead to 3 at 10-7. 3-point lead for Valley City State in the second. They opened with a 25-22 win in the opening set. They lead at 1-0. Natalie Hadrava with the serve for Mayville State. Taken up on the right side by Bogenreef. An attack coming from Danielle Hagler that was blocked. Emma Lucas going through the middle. This is into a joust up front. Hansen got out, jousted by McKinnon, then pushed. Hagler finds the far sideline, and the Vikings come up with the point. Hagler comes up with a kill. She did not have a great first set for Valley City State tonight. It seems like the Comets have said no Hagler, no Scutchings. They've been able to keep those two somewhat in check, and the Vikings are finding some other ways. They lead by 4 at 11-7 here in the second. McKinnon tipping. Hansen kept it alive into a joust, and Hagler puts it down with a big swing in the middle of the net to push the lead to its largest amount tonight at 5 at 12-7 Vikings. A look to the scorebook by Katie Austin. The officials are anticipating timeout. Right now, the coach of the Comets says play through it. 5-point lead for Valley City State. Sadie Hansen back to serve. Comes down the line. Abby Cox on the near side. Set right pin. Pace up. Blocked. It's down. It's Danielle Hagler and Emma Lucas teaming up. Now the timeout comes from Mayville State as the Vikings take a 6-point second set lead. The block is reformed and the Vikings are in some control after 20 rallies. It's 13-7 on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. The Vikings up a set to nothing and 6 here in the second. Timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. This is Viking Volleyball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
Are you on the right financial path? Are all your financial professionals on the same page? At LaRue Lockout Financial, you can be assured that your investment professional and tax professional are working together. Call Ryan LaRue at 701-845-6938 or James M. Lockout at CPA 701-845-1660. Services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, and securities offered through Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA and SIPC.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
The Vikings with a 13-7 lead here in the second set, leading a set to none. Timeout Mayville State. The Viking block really beginning to find its way after a first set where the block was just handled, you could say, by Mayville State. Didn't run into a lot of trouble with the block. Did the Comets running their offense. The Comets hit 122 in that first set. Morgan Freege now with a solo and 3 assists. I think that number might be low. They may have to credit her more when they go back to the stats, but the Vikings blocking at more numbers in a moment. Abigail Cox gets through a block and scores off the Comet outside and cuts the Viking lead to 5 at 13-8. 4 totals, a solo and 3 assists for Morgan Freege. 2 assists for Bailey Nelson, 2 assists for Danielle Hagler, a solo and 2 assists for Emma Lucas, and an assist for Marty Scutchings tonight. Back row attack for Lucas, around a block, that's going to score. Natalie Hadrava unable to make the pass on Emma Lucas's back row attack. Vikings back up 6 at 14-8. That's what you want out of a team. If they feel like they're in control of a match, you lose a point coming out of a timeout. You want the side out. You want to get control back. The Vikings do it at least for the moment. J.C. Richter serving. A backup from Condon to get to it. McKinnon trying to push. Again, sticky on that set. Bailey Nelson from the outside. That's down. Bailey Nelson working outside pin. The Vikings with a 7-point second set lead at 15-8. Mayville State looking for some answers. You take a look at their body language right now, and you can see that right now they're kind of looking around. We'll see if they find an answer. Richter serving line again, this time handled by Samantha Pesa. Up front, it's an attack that gets blocked again. Danielle Hagler, Marty Scutchings teaming up to deny Nicole Quarton from the outside pin for Mayville State. The Vikings run the lead to 8 at 16-8. J.C. Richter is back to serve again for Valley City State. Richter stands ready, serve on the way towards the back row, taken by Samantha Pesa. Laura Pesa will set up front, Abigail Cox tipping deep. Reagan Bogenreef makes the pass, right pin, Scutchings, it's down. They come back to Marty Scutchings. The block's been good, the middle's been good. Valley City State changes it up. Another timeout from Mayville State. The Vikings are up 9. 17-8 Valley City State on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. And it's a timeout from Mayville State, brought to you by Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. The Vikings with a 1-0 lead, and up big here in the second. This is Viking volleyball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
Every body is different. Some experience injuries, while others need extra support.
I'll help you, Grandma.
At Jamestown Regional Medical Center, your health is what matters most. Our orthopedics and sports medicine team care for you and your unique needs. Their goal is to help you live your best life. Choose Jamestown Regional Medical Center for care of hips, shoulders, knees, and broken bones. Learn more at jrmcnd.com/orthopedics.
Ivy Real Estate Group, your locally owned real estate brokerage, is cheering for the home team. Listen to KOVC for the Ivy Real Estate Group Player of the Game following every Valley City Highliner and VCSU Vikings game.
Now, back to Viking volleyball on KOVC.
The Viking block is formed up. The second set's been good for Valley City State. Valley City State leading 17-8 in the second. Up 1-0 on Mayville State tonight here at the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse. J.C. Richter serving, and we're going to see an error receiving serve from Natalie Hadrava. And the lead is 10, and that just doesn't happen very often. Hadrava has been so good for Mayville State tonight that come out of a timeout, you feel like you've got the concentration going your way, and then play just escapes you. That's a tough one for Mayville State to accept tonight. Richter serving again. Up front, Corton getting up and over a block. Reagan Bogenreef the pass. They hold it up for Danielle Hagler. Look at that play for the Vikings as Hagler kills it. That was Bogenreef with a pass that Sadie Hansen set one-handed and left it perfectly for Danielle Hagler to run the middle. The lead is 19-8. Valley City State by 11 in the second. Serve coming from J.C. Richter. Hadrava makes the pass. Pesa sets middle. McKinnon tipping. The Vikings find a way to keep it afloat. It's a free ball back over. Here are the Comets answering. McKinnon winding up, hit the back far right corner, and Mayville State gets back on the board offensively. Boy, if you're the Comets, the last thing you want to do, go into a third set with only single digits up on the board scoring-wise. So a couple of big plays here, even if they don't make the comeback, and the comeback's not out of the question. They can tighten up defensively very fast. Reagan Bogenreef with the pass. Scutchings into the net. Either a double or four. Four is usually the call first. That's what it is. 4 contacts. Came into the net. Came back and hit Scutchings again. I've been told that 4, I believe, takes precedence over 2 in those situations, even though it was 2. And now a service error coming that time from Emily Condon. That'll be the 4th service error of the night against Mayville State. Lead back to 10, and the Vikings are in the red zone. The first to 20 here in this second set. A 20-10 lead over Mayville State tonight. Delaney Clark serving. Service error right back. Third for the Vikings. Lead cut to 9 at 20-11. And now Tori Richter coming back into the matchup for Mayville State. Hadrava thought it was her service rotation. She'll come off the floor. Now realizes that it's her rotation out. Tori Richter steps in to serve. Keeps this one in play. Delaney Clark making the pass. Set outside. Bailey Nelson right down the line. A long run for Richter. Kept it afloat. Back to the net. Samantha Pesa passes it back. Vikings try again. This time it's Frigi. And Morgan Frigi puts it down in the middle. The Viking horn sounds. It's 21-11. The Vikings by 10. The Comets are out of timeouts. Valley City State trying to take this in what was kind of a grind out back and forth affair in the first 15 rallies and run away with a second if they can. Ellie Rush set to serve for Valley City State towards the middle. Taken back row by Pesa. Up front, Samantha Pesa attacking. It got through but wide. No contact from the Vikings. They looked for a tip, didn't see it. An attack error from Pesa in the middle. 22-11. The Vikings by 11. The Viking crowd chanting, "We can't hear you," to the Mayville crowd. And the Mayville State crowd's right next door on the same side of bleachers tonight. Elora Pesa setting. A tip comes over up front from Paterick. A swing right side by Morgan Nelson. Up front, Pesa. Passed out of the back row by Delaney Clark. Back to Nelson. Bailey trying to hit middle. It goes into the net, off the net, and under the net for Mayville State. Vikings make it 23-11 on another effort from Bailey Nelson. This Viking crowd will come to life if they send Mayville State back to the bench with 11 points in the second set. Ellie Rush standing ready. Serve down the near sideline, taken by Pesa. Elora Pesa backsetting, right pin. Corton got through and scores. We haven't seen Corton factor much into this second set. They find her on the right side. Lead cut to 11 at 23-12. Checking in for Mayville State, Peyton Richter. Also a Castleton, North Dakota. Central Cass Squirrel on this Viking roster. Delaney Clark up front, Fiji right side blocked. Into the block up front from, I believe that will go solo to Paterick. Paterick with 31 blocks coming into the night, the leading blocker for Mayville State, and that time they were ready for Fiji to go court wide rather than use the line. Lead cut to 10, 23-13. Richter serving again, back row, Delaney Clark, tough pass, long run to get there for Hansen. Bailey Nelson from the attack line. Hadrava able to make the play for Mayville State, back to Pesa, down the line, and that scores. And if you're the Vikings, yeah, you've got the big lead. But you don't want to let Mayville State have this kind of momentum at the end of the second. There's still one more set to go win, even if you grind your way out to a second set victory. The lead is 9 at 23-14. Richter stands ready, line drive serve, Delaney Clark the pass, Hansen setting to Nelson, down, and the Vikings have set point. And Bailey Nelson has begun to make her appearance known well in this matchup for Valley City State. Now with 7 kills on the night, hitting percentage at .333 all of a sudden, really upping the numbers. Serve from Lexi LaRue on set point for the Vikings, and an errant pass coming up front into an errant set. Paterick overran the ball. It will fall. The Vikings will score, and it's a commanding 25-14 win in the second set for Valley City State, and the Vikings will take a 2-0 lead on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard, headed to the third set tonight. The Vikings have a chance to sweep up Mayville State in the second conference matchup for Valley City State this year. Can they get it done? Intermission reports next. We come back with the third set as well. After 2, it's the Vikings 2 and the Comets nothing. This is Viking Volleyball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
Why choose professional eye care centers? Let me count the whys. First, there are now 4 great doctors to see. Dr. Frank, Dr. Freilich, Dr. Jangula, and now welcoming Dr. Bond. Next is their many locations. You can now see one of their spectacular doctors in Jamestown, Valley City, Carrington, and Edgeley. And finally, their fantastic frame selection. And yes, all of their frames and lenses are backed by warranty. Visit ProEyeCareCenters.com and make an appointment today. Professional Eye Care Centers. Clearly the best.
Grotberg Electric believes in quality first, taking pride in the work and standing behind every project they do. They bring together the power, technology, and experience to keep your business online. The success of Grotberg Electric depends on 3 major ideals: the quality of their products, the commitment to their customers, and most of all, their customer service. Call Grotberg Electric today at 845-3010 or visit them online, grotbergelectric.com.
Lever's Foods, best quality, best price. Lever's Foods, best service, they're nice. Lever's Foods, they make everything right. Lever's Foods.
All this week at Lever's Foods, rake in the savings on preferred Angus boneless beef arm roast, $4.88 a pound. New crop Honeycrisp apples, just $1.99 a pound. And Brewpub Latza Matza pizza, only $6.89 each. Delivery is available by calling 845-1732. Remember to observe caution in and around the area during construction.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
The Vikings lead by a 2-0 margin after taking the second, 25-14, in demanding and commanding fashion. After a 25-22 win in a nip and tuck first set tonight, the Vikings dominating in the second set this evening. We'll go through the numbers in a moment, but first let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is Viking Volleyball, the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley.
This is 1490 KOVC AM Valley City and 96.3 K242CZ Valley City.
The voice of the Valley.
The block really jumps off the page as the main difference, although the Vikings are now hitting 155 for the match. And keep in mind, they were hitting 061 at the end of the first. They turned on the offense in the second set. But the Vikings out to 14 blocks tonight, 2 solos, 12 assists. Mayville State 4 assists, 0 solos. And the Comets fell from 122 to 070 in hitting between the first and second sets for the match. So the Viking defense was big. The block number came up. When the Vikings had a chance to run some offense, they did. Michelle Micklejohn, first-year head coach for the Vikings, told us at the very beginning of the season, we want our block to be a mainstay of our team, and this Viking team has bought into it. Intermission report tonight brought to you by Rambo. We're in the business of making you look good. Vikings will serve to start set number 3. Sadie Hansen serving. Hadrava coming in, then backing up to make a play. McKinnon tipping, and covering was Bogenreed for Valley City State. Right side, Scutchings. That's going to be down, and the Vikings are up 1-0 as they run their offense to Marty Scutchings. You knew the Vikings had a chance to be special when they brought in Marty Scutchings. A 6-foot middle, they've moved to the right side because of their strength at middle. They were returning the entire roster. They bring in a defensive player from Cheyenne. As here's an ace that's served up by Sadie Hansen. Abby Cox with an error receiving serve. They bring in a true freshman in Reagan Bogenreef, and then add Marty Scutchings to the mix. The transfer out of Calgary, or out of Saskatchewan, Kelvington, Saskatchewan. And they have really found a way to form up what they can get done on that right side pin. That's a good hitter out there. McKinnon attacking and scoring for Mayville State. And that's really their best look offensively in a while. The Comets have been stagnant. That time they shortened things up for McKinnon, and she hit that on a line to cut the Viking lead to 1. 2-1, Mayville State down 1 to the Vikings in the third and down 2 sets to none. Condon serving for Mayville State. Bogenreef backing up on it. High set Scutchings now swung to the outside. It's covered into a joust, and Danielle Hagler will block it for the Vikings as the free ball came back. Looked like we get a joust going. There was a long look between officials as well. Hagler's hand came off very near the net, and the net moved, but the Vikings either get a call or the ball did that. 3-1, Valley City State by 2. J.C. Richter jump serving. Hadrava back row for Mayville State up front. Corton pushing around a block. It's taken by Sadie Hansen on first contact. Scutchings tipping from the right pin. A big convergence of defense in the middle. 2 players laying out to send that back over for Mayville State. To the outside, Bailey Nelson down. Hadrava can't dig it up. 4-1 Vikings early after 5 rallies here in the third. Natalie Hadrava had such a great start to the match tonight for Mayville State. Through a set and a half, but really in that second stretch of the second set, and now here early in the third, that dig game has slowed down just a little bit. 25 digs, though, tonight for Natalie Hadrava, and those are not nothing type of numbers. But lately, the saves that she was able to make in that first set haven't quite been there for Mayville State. J.C. Richter serving for the Vikings. Line drive serve down the middle. Samantha Pesa with a pass. Elora Pesa sets McKinnon, and there's a solo for Danielle Hagler, eating it up in the middle. 5-1 Vikings after 6 rallies in the third, as Danielle Hagler goes up for a big block and continues the blocking success for the Vikings tonight. J.C. Richter serving. Looper towards the middle, passed by Samantha Pesa. Back set to the right pin for Corton. She found the back row for the Comets. Nicole Corton, she's impressive when she has an opportunity. Again, she came into the night without huge numbers, 72 kills, which by her team standards was a pretty good number. Elora Pesa with 110 kills coming into the night. Nicole Corton was third after Madison McKinnon, 79. Vikings receiving. Scutchings from the right pin wide. And the point will go to Mayville State. And it will cut the lead for the Comets, or rather for the Vikings, to 2 at 5-3. But you've seen Nicole Corton shine right pin. Done a little bit of work in the middle tonight for Mayville State, but really her most effective has been when the Viking block has moved around and Mayville State can run a play out to the right. And that's where Elora Pesa comes into play for the Comets. You've got to have a setter that recognizes where the defense has been, where it is not, and who you have on the floor personnel-wise, and that's a lot of thought in a split-second moment. Tori Richter to serve for Mayville State. Taken back row by Bogenreef outside Bailey Nelson long. And the Viking hitting percentage dropping a bit. Clock down, rather the lead down to 5-4. Couple of efforts in a row for the Vikings where they've just made errors hitting the volleyball. Richter will serve again for the Comets. Bailey Nelson making the pass. Set middle. Hagler through a block. Good play. Back row from Abby Cox to dig it up. And now it's Corton getting around a block. And there's Corton again. This time in the middle. She'll attack and score. And the Comets have stiffened. Come back with 4 straight to cut the Viking lead to 0 and even things up after 10 rallies at 5 apiece on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Great crowd here tonight. They're standing in the entryway watching this one from one end of the floor. They've only pulled out the bleachers a part of the way where we sit on the media side. Full bleachers across the way, nearly full. Tip by Nelson, just missed the back line. Mayville State will take a 6-5 lead. So the Comets are trying to claw their way back with a 1-point lead here in the third. Tori Richter serving again, and a service error will tie it up at 6 apiece. What the Vikings are looking for right now, though, a little bit of momentum back offensively. They had some attacks that really didn't get it done. Hagler out to the back row for Delaney Clark, and Bogenreef out to the front row for Morgan Freege. And Freege's had a nice match tonight for the Vikings. The serve from Delaney Clark up towards the middle on the pass. Corton tipping from the right side pin. Scutchings was there to make a play for the Vikings. Bailey Nelson from the outside defeats a block, scores, and the Vikings are back up 1 at 7-6 here in the third. Freege's numbers on the night: 4 kills, hitting just 062. She's had a struggle killing, but 4 kills, a solo block, 3 assists on the night as well. Another serve from the Vikings. Hadrava makes the play. Samantha Pesa's blocked at the net. Scutchings teaming up with Freege for another Viking block. The lead back to 2 at 8-6. Valley City State, after 14 rallies, with a 2-point lead, leading 2 sets to none. The opener was 25-22. The second was 25-14. Valley City State. Samantha Pesa backing up to make a play. Corton right side pin over the block and long. And the point will go to the Vikings to make it 9-6 Valley City State. Corton stepping back out to the near sideline. Coached up a bit by Katie Austin from Mayville State. Delaney Clark serving. Backing up Condon to get to it. Short game up front. Another block. Freege blocked it. Stays with Mayville State. Pesa tipping over the block. There to cover was Sadie Hansen. From the attack line, Nelson hit it long. Vikings couldn't quite run the offense they wanted. J.C. Richter had to make contact after Hansen saved the play. Took the setter out of play. Bailey Nelson from the attack line couldn't quite find an angle she liked. Lead cut to 2 at 9-7. Mayville State will serve. Comets will send Peyton Richter back beyond the service line. Serve on the way, taken by Delaney Clark on the pass. Back set to Scutchings, right pin long, and the point will go to the Comets. Again, the Vikings struggling to find their offensive groove here in this third set. The block has kept them in it. Scutchings got away early on that right side, but she and Bailey Nelson have both had some trouble finding the playing surface as of late. Serve again from the Comets. Sidewinder. Delaney Clark makes the pass. Near side, Bailey Nelson through a block and scoring. And the Vikings will reclaim a 2-point lead at 10-8. Scutchings to the back row and out as Ellie Rush will come on as a defensive replacement and a server in this rotation. And the Vikings will take another towel out onto the floor. The Vikings are going to need a towel sponsor after this one is over tonight. And again, if we played this at Gratian Gym this evening, where I think capacity is about 250, and we'd have put this many people, well, we wouldn't have put this many people, they'd have turned them away. And it would have been a lot more sticky and uncomfortable in there tonight. 10-8, Valley City State, a 2-point lead here in the third. Ellie Rush on to serve for the Vikings. Low line drive serve, tough pass out of the back row for Condon. They can run it though. Pesa got around a block. It's saved by Rush. A tip by Freege. This is in the back row. The Comets save it. Condon running it down to get to it. Hansen sets Bailey Nelson into the net, and the point will go to the Comets. 4 contacts to call against Bailey Nelson, and the Comets back within 1 at 10-9. Abigail Cox back into the matchup for Mayville State. And Samantha Pesa will go back to serve for the Comets. Pesa with a good jump serve down the middle of the floor. Delaney Clark was there. Hansen sets Bailey Nelson. She got through, and that's down in front of Hadrava, who tried to get a handout on it. It hit the floor, and Hadrava at the same time. The court-wide winner for Bailey Nelson pushes the Viking lead back to 2 at 11-9. Lexi LaRue, hometown girl out of Valley City. Her parents, Ryan and Missy, came through the doors this evening. Good to see them. Viking alum Ryan LaRue, great baseball player for the Vikings back in the day. An attack from Abigail Cox is blocked up front by Morgan Frege. Pesa on the right pin now, going court wide and missed it. Oh, they're going to overrule the line judge? Yeah, they're going to say they will. The line judge called that ball out. Our R1 across the way says, nope, that one was just to my left, and I saw it hit the sideline, so the point will go to Mayville State. Call was out, it's overturned, and the Comets are back within one at 11-10 Vikings. I would have made it 12-9, little separation at that point. Hadrava serving, low line drive serve, saved by Delaney Clark. Frege right pin blocked. McKinnon and Cox go up to block Morgan Frege. A block that hasn't been big tonight for Mayville State, but that one's in a big moment with Frege swung to the right pin, and Mayville State's done a nice job of defending that right side. Frege is being victimized because of the game plan to stop Scutchings from the right pin, and now that game plan to stop the right pin hurts Frege as well. Here's a back tip by Sadie Hansen on second contact. Pesa trying to save the play, hit the line judge, it's long. The Vikings crack the tie and take a 12-11 lead. And we'll see some more cleaning going on before the double switch can be made here for the Vikings. Danielle Hagler back to the front row. Reagan Bogenreef to the back. When you see Frege, she's a very good right side hitter. She's made a really nice season out of the middle as well, so they change it up, but she's comfortable on that right side. But since Mayville State's game plan has been to really attack Scutchings on that right pin tonight, when Frege's out there, the game plan works the same way for a different player. Bogenreef serving, good serve. Samantha Pesa makes the pass. McKinnon from the outside is over everybody. Point to the Vikings, and it's 13-11 Valley City State. What you'd like to see now to really change the direction where the Vikings back up to is that block to come out again, score and push this lead to 3. Low line drive serve, that'll work, it's an ace. Reagan Bogenreef did not clear the attack line on that serve, and it caught Mayville State's serve receive asleep. 14-11. Vikings by 3. Maybe you get the block here and get to 15. Bogenreef will serve in the middle. Nope, service error. Lead cut to 2 at 14-12. Fourth service error for the Vikings tonight. Change will be made here by the Comets. Alora Pesa goes into the back row to serve it, and that'll bring Nicole Corton back into the matchup for Mayville State. Serve by Alora Pesa. Bogenreef making the pass. Set right side. Hagler, they disguised her. Ball's long. Tip going to be called. Yes. Tip called against Mayville State. Danielle Hagler runs to the right pin. That was a nice piece of offense for the Vikings. They slid Hagler behind the set and got her out to that right pin where Mayville State didn't expect. Danielle Hagler, she's a middle, goes right side. Vikings back up 3 at 15-12. Hansen serving up front, the block for McKinnon. She got blocked to the net. The Vikings can cover. Scutchings right side, down. That one passed up into the seats. And the Vikings stretch the lead to 4, 16-12 here in the third after 28 rallies, and Mayville State wants a timeout. The Vikings up 2-0 and leading 16-12 in the third over Mayville State on our LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. This is Viking Volleyball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
Hi, this is Clint from Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in Valley City, your only locally owned pharmacy since 1989. When you're locally owned, you care about your community and your customers. We're here for you from 9 to 5:30 weekdays and Saturdays 9 to 1. We offer mail out with no additional product fee, and we offer an automated system for convenient refills. And as always, Dr. Natalie Meyer, Terry, Rachel, Cindy, Christina, or myself will answer your calls at 845-5280. Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy in beautiful downtown Valley City.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
16-12, Mayville State down 4 to Valley City State in the third set. The Vikings leading 2-0. The first went to the Vikings in a tight affair, 25-22. The second went to the Vikings, 25-14. Mayville State's had the lead at times here in the third. The Vikings have now stretched their lead to 4. And out of a Mayville State timeout, Sadie Hansen serving for the Vikings. Hadrava makes a good pass, set right point, and it'll be pushed over by Abby Cox, returned immediately by Scutchings. Now Corton on the right pin, that's down. So the Comets go to their right side twice. First option, Abby Cox. Second option, Nicole Corton. they continue to run those players. Again, both kind of undersized out there in that hitter's position, but they get it done. Both are 5'9", and they both make a really good effort to make sure that Mayville State net is balanced offensively. Emily Condon onto the floor to serve for Mayville State. Another slowdown as Sadie Hansen wipes up a spot on the floor. I wonder if it's going to be like this when we return the favor and go to Mayville State later on in the season for conference play. Condon serving, Reagan Bogenreef backing up on the play. Out to the outside, Scutchings blocked, but Bogenreef covered it. Set middle, Hagler won't get blocked. First option blocked, but cover. Danielle Hagler puts it away for the Vikings. 17-13, the Vikings by 4 after 30 rallies of the third on our LaRue-Laco Financial scoreboard. And we'll see J.C. Richter back to take the serving over for Valley City State. Serve looping to the middle, Hadrava down to an E to make the pass. Set far side, Samantha Pesa just pushing that outside, and that's going to score. Viking crowd lobbying for some illegal contact. It has been an interesting night tonight to watch that go. We've seen doubles called rather tightly, with the exception of maybe one occasion, but as far as those pushes, they've really allowed players to make plays. And when you look at the point of emphasis for officials at the collegiate level, they kind of want you to officiate with an easy-going, sort of tempered hand when it comes down to that particular play, because they know it's a play that the crowd ends up liking when you're at home. Set right pin, Scutchings got through a block, it's covered, and sent back over on second contact by Alora Pesa. That tip is going to score for Mayville State. Big swing in the matchup now for the Comets. They've cut a 4-point lead to 2 at 17-15. And the Comets will send Tori Richter back to serve again. And now basically after every time that a player goes to the floor, we're going to have a slowdown to clean up the playing surface. Coaches aren't going to like it, and there's good reason for it. It will stop your momentum when you have it. It stops momentum for both teams. But when you've got the momentum going, the last thing you want to see is a delay and getting started again. Richter serving for Mayville State. Near side, Bogenreef making a pass. Hansen sets middle. Hagler got through a block. It's covered for Mayville State. Pesa setting to Samantha Pesa on the outside. Her tip can't be covered. Sadie Hansen coming up short defensively. 1 point lead now for the Vikings. 17-16. And Sadie Hansen's going to go out and clean up a spot on the floor. I wonder how long it'll be here before Katie Austin, the head coach of the Comets, starts to say a little something. Now they've got towels cleaning up the Mayville side of the net as well. I mean, there's not a lot you can say, but every once in a while you watch closely to see, okay, after we go to the floor, if we don't come up with the win in the rally, do we reach for the towel right away and try to slow things down? In this case, both teams are doing it. I'm not sure what the temperature is inside, but again, that rain throughout the course of the day made it a very humid night here in Valley City. And when that happens and you put a bunch of people in the field house, we don't see it as often in basketball because obviously that's a different season temperature and precipitation-wise. Richter serving, the lead is 1 for Valley City State at 17-16 here in the third. Bailey Nelson, that's going to score. The Vikings are back up 2. Back out to Steady Eddie. Bailey Nelson back for her COVID year. And Bailey Nelson now with 9 kills to pace the Vikings tonight. Correction, 11 kills now for Bailey Nelson. Danielle Hagler has 6. Morgan Friege with 4. Emma Lucas with 4. Marty Scutchings with 5. Balance again, but Bailey Nelson leading the way. Delaney Clark serving with a Viking 2-point lead. Set right pin, Corton through a block, and down will be the call in front of a dive by Delaney Clark in the back row. Corton again out to the right pin, and the Comets are again within 1. Vikings would love to win this in 3. Love to put it away in 3 tonight. When you take the first 2, the third can be more harm to you even if you come out with a 2-1 lead. You let teams back into it with a little bit of momentum at that point. Bailey Nelson getting through a block. Hadrava free-balled it back. It's Scutchings fights it back over. Now it's Friege that fights it back over on 2 free balls from Mayville State. And Morgan Friege kills it on the back line for a 2-point Viking lead. Ellie Rush back into the matchup for Valley City State. She'll do the serving. Now it's the Comets that have to clean up a section of their floor. Conference play tonight here in the North Star, the second conference matchup of the season for Valley City State, 1-0 after a win over Dickinson State in their first conference matchup last week out in Dickinson. Served by Ellie Rush, line drive, taken back row by Hadrava. Elora Pesa hit the antenna on the attack. Point will go to the Vikings. That's a big play, puts the Vikings to 20. 20-17, the Vikings now with a 3-point lead. And the first to the red zone here in this third set tonight. The other matchup in the conference tonight is in Madison, South Dakota, and that'll be a great one to watch. Viterbo and Dakota State, a team ranked and a team getting votes. Here's an attack in the middle that comes from Paterick. That is down. And the Viking lead cut to 2 at 20-18. But again, Viterbo and Dakota State. Viterbo ranks 6th in the nation. Dakota State, a high vote getter that's not in the top 25. So a big one there. Vikings receiving serve. Big attack by Freegee. Missed the near sideline. And the Comets are back within 1 at 20-19. This has not been a great hitting set for Valley City State. And the block just hasn't been a big part of the Viking game plan here throughout the third. It was early. Served by Samantha Pesa. Delaney Clark, good pass of it. Bailey Nelson tipping down the near side of the floor. Pace has to step up on second contact to make a save. Abigail Cox tipping middle. Sadie Hansen keeps it in the middle. Freegee got blocked and it's down. Morgan Freegee in the middle gets blocked at the middle of the net by Paterick. And now both teams are at 20. So here we go. Another foot race in the later stages of this third set. Vikings 20, Comets 20 on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. Samantha Pesa back to serve for Mayville State. Pesa serve, taken back row by Ellie Rush. Hansen sets. Bailey Nelson blocked, and the lead is to Mayville State. Paterick gets knocked over by one of her own teammates celebrating the block. She took a big shot in the chest, I believe, from Samantha Pesa and got cleaned out. That brings the crowd to life. But now the Comets have a 21-20 lead. The Vikings led 16-12, and the Comets have found a way to grind their way up to a 1-point, now 2-point lead as Ellie Rush can't make a pass. Up off the bench is Michelle Micklejohn, and the Vikings need a timeout as Mayville State's back in it. 22-20, the Comets are getting to the Vikings in the third with Mayville State up 2. The Vikings lead 2 sets to none on the matchup on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard. We have a timeout for Mobility Plus Rehabilitation. This is Viking Volleyball, the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
This is Amy Heim, nurse practitioner with Sanford Health. Well child checks are important visits for children of every age. Yearly well child checks are recommended for children 3 and older and more frequently for those younger than 3. It is at these visits that growth, development, and preventative care are addressed in an effort to keep children as healthy as possible. Recommended immunizations are also discussed and provided at these visits. Call 742-3267 to schedule at your local Sanford Health Clinic in Ellendale, Foreman, Gwinner, Lemoore, Lisbon, or Oaks.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
22-20, Mayville State with a 2-point lead over Valley City State here in the third set. The Vikings leading 2 sets to none, winning the first 25-22. The second was 25-14, and the Vikings had a 16-12 lead here in the third. And all of a sudden, Mayville State has come roaring back. This would represent 10 out of 14 rallies that have gone the way of the Comets to take the 22-20 edge. Ellie Rush free balls it back over into a joust. It's covered by Morgan Freegee, and a big kill coming up from Bailey Nelson on the outside. That pass from Rush ended up over the net for Mayville State. They went joust, and Morgan Freegee made a defensive play that was second to none, laying out to keep that ball afloat. So the Vikings got another chance to run their offense, and they do run it, and a big kill for Bailey Nelson gets the Vikings back within 1. Now a 1-point Comet lead here in the third. Lexi LaRue is back to do the serving for Valley City State. LaRue stands ready near sideline, floats one short, tough pass, playable, and a block at the net coming from Abigail Cox. It comes back to Mayville State. They free ball it over. Vikings need this play. Hansen, right side to Freegee. It's blocked, but Lexi LaRue was able to cover it. Now it's Lucas getting up and over a block. Pesa ran it down back row to the outside. Cox pushing deep. Delaney Clark covered it. Now the Vikings push deep. A dive out of the back row by Pesa covered that. Elora Pesa from the right pin. Delaney Clark makes the play. Up front, the attack coming from Frigi. There's a layout by Hadrava. Abigail Cox, whistle. The point will go to the Vikings on a double against Mayville State. Comets don't like it. They're looking over at their coaching staff. They don't like being hit for the double. It's been a tight match on doubles so far tonight, but that point will go to the Vikings. And now it's 22-22 here in the third. Didn't see what happened. We were screened by the Mayville State offensive players. That set was over on the far sideline. However, we can tell you this, it was just to the left of our R1 tonight, so he's going to get a really good look at it. Nobody in front of him and right on the sideline, and that might be why a double gets called. LaRue serving again. Samantha Pesa passes up front, an attack that gets partially blocked, but down. It'll come from Paterick, who's had a nice offensive night for the Comets. 23-22. Comets by 2, and the Vikings have to turn away a Mayville State rally here to force the race to 2 in a row. Comets score at set point for Mayville State. Hadrava to serve. Serve looping towards the middle. Tough pass. Delaney Clark got there. It's Lucas on the outside. Hadrava made that play. Tipped across. And a dive kept it alive by Richter. Sent over on second contact by Sadie Hansen. Pesa sends it over. Ellie Rush was there. Short game. Frigi. That one's into the net and down. Morgan Frigi comes up with a kill. We'll race to 2 in a row tonight here in the third. 23-23. If the Vikings hold on here in the third, Morgan Frigi is going to be a very big reason why. She's made 2 huge plays down the stretch of this one. Frigi now with 6 kills on the night, a solo block and 4 assists. She's got 5 blocks and 6 kills this evening. Bailey Nelson with 13 kills, a couple of blocks. This is a huge play, tied at 23. One team will have set point in the third coming out of this rally. Reagan Bogenreef goes back to serve for the Vikings. Line drive serve. Pesa makes the pass. Sets along the attack line. Abigail Cox is blocked at the net by Danielle Hagler and Sadie Hansen. The Vikings have match point. Timeout, Mayville State. 24-23. The Vikings come back to take a 1-point lead here in the third set, and they will serve for the match out of the Comet timeout. Looking ahead in the schedule that the Vikings will have, from here, it only gets tougher. Next weekend, Friday, Saturday, big road tests. The Vikings will go take on Viterbo. Correction, that'll be here next weekend, my apologies. Viterbo on Friday night. That'll be the 6th-ranked team in the nation coming here, so a real test for the Vikings. They beat Ottawa, Kansas, who was ranked 14th at the time, but this will be their first opportunity, I believe, at a top 10 team since they were beaten by Northwestern Iowa in the opening matchups of the season down in Sioux City. And then Waldorf, Iowa the next morning coming home. They go on the road to Bellevue and Dakota State the weekend after that. Those are 4 quality teams in the North Star Athletic Association in a row. Mayville State being the 5th. We talked about, 6 teams really had solid non-conference seasons. Mayville, the Vikings, and those next 4, the Vikings are going to play. Out of the Mayville State timeout, match point for the Vikings, 24-23 here in the third. Serve from Bogenreef, tough pass from Pesa. It stays in the back row. Abigail Cox up and over a block. Here's a chance. Hansen tipping, it was blocked. Covered by Danielle Hagler. The Vikings can't get to it. They're turned away of their match point, back to 2 in a row. That's a huge side out for Mayville State to win for 2 reasons. Number 1, they obviously avoid being swept. Number 2, it brings Nicole Corton back into the matchup, who's been very solid from the right side tonight. Elora Pesa serving. Bogenreef making the pass. Hansen sets right side. Hagler got off the net. It's covered back row. Up front, Cox tipping, blocked. It comes back to the Vikings on a free ball. Hagler spinning. Covered by Pace out of the back row. Back set, Corton right side. Blocked, and it's down. Danielle Hagler and Emma Lucas with another block for the Vikings and another match point for Valley City State. When it gets to 2 in a row, the only way you win the set is to score on the serve. You need a defensive play. Marty Skutchings back in for the Vikings. Sadie Hansen to serve, 25-24. Valley City State. Serve from Sadie Hansen. Hadrava makes the pass up front. They tighten up with McKinnon in the speed game. Bogenreef made the pass. Lucas from the outside. Pesa covers for Mayville State. Back to Corton right side. Around a block and scoring. And we'll go to 27 as Nicole Corton comes up with a hit from the right side. We figured when she got back into the matchup, she would definitely factor into a play here down the stretch. And Nicole Corton with 8 kills tonight. That co-leads the team for Mayville State. 25 all. Serve from Emily Condon. The pass out of the back row, Emma Lucas. Near side, Scutchings around a block. Hadrava made the pass, may have been with the shoulder. Corton from the right side, court wide. Bogenreef trying to run it down. Now it's Hansen making a save, and Scutchings mishit this ball. It ends up falling wide, and it's the Comets with a set point. At 26-25, Mayville State. Nicole Corton is a difference maker for the Comets, getting back on the floor here in this third set. Condon serving for Mayville State. They want the set if they can get this point. Emma Lucas with a pass. Hansen to the outside for Scutchings. Got through a block, it scores, and will play to 28. Marty Scutchings with a big play from the outside. That brings Bailey Nelson back into the mix. Now the Vikings have got to score twice on the serve to take home the set in 3, and take home the match rather, in 3. Serve from J.C. Richter, looping back row, Hadrava there. Back set, Corton right side, got around a block. Sadie Hansen made the play. It's Bogenreef keeping it alive. Scutchings on the right side, but not much she could do with it. Into a free ball at the net, joust, lost. No, they're going to call a violation against Mayville State for an illegal attack. It was turning into a joust on second contact, and there to make the play was Danielle Hagler. The rule in volleyball is you can't come up with a block on that ball if there's someone else there to play it for the offensive team. It's an illegal attack against the Comets, and the Vikings will serve again for the match. Richter, short serve, whistle, ace for J.C. Richter. Mayville State will go down to the Vikings in a sweep. J.C. Richter shortens up the serve to the middle, back and forth down the stretch in the third. The Vikings win it going away. Your final score on the LaRue Laco Financial scoreboard tonight: the Vikings 3, the Comets nothing. 25-22, 25-14, 28-26 in the third. The Vikings are 14-3, 2-0 in the league. Mayville State drops to 8-4. They'll be 0-1 in North Star Athletic Association play. Post-game report is on the way next. Stay with us. This is Viking Volleyball on the voice of the Vikings and the voice of the Valley, KOVC.
This is Viking Volleyball on KOVC, the voice of the Valley.
Hey VCSU fans, this is Dennis McCulloch, head football coach and athletic director at Valley City State University. This season we have more than 270 student athletes competing for VCSU in 14 different sports. They wear Viking colors with a tremendous amount of pride in our school and our community. Your generous donations to VCSU Century Club ensures that we can recruit and retain the finest student athletes in the NEI. Our goals are lofty, and we can't do it without your scholarship dollars. Call 845-7161 and join us in supporting our hometown team.
When gathering around the table with family and friends or enjoying a quiet meal by yourself, make certain you have the finest cuts of meat from Valley Meat Supply. Quality steaks and pork chops that make every bite a true delight. Valley Meat offers a wide variety to satisfy every taste and budget, including incredible sausage, several varieties of cheese, baked beans, award-winning beef jerky and snack sticks, and a great selection of spices. Valley Meat Supply, your locally owned, locally sourced meat market, located on West Main Street in Valley City.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
We go to our post-game report tonight here at the W.E. Osmond Fieldhouse as the Vikings have won a thriller tonight over Mayville State, 3-0 in extra points in the third set, winning 28-26, taking the first 25-22, the second 25-14. We're joined on our post-game report by Michelle Micklejohn, the head coach of Valley City State University, up against your old Wide tonight. A lot of blue in the gym, great support, great atmosphere.
Yeah.
How about that tonight, Coach?
It was awesome. My girls wanted people to come to their games, so this is the move we made, and it was great. There's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
It's hot in here.
And you know, it is hot in here, but I'll tell you what, when you put a good product on the floor, the community tends to show up tonight. It wasn't just students that were here. There was a great contingent of Viking fans that were here tonight, and that was important. Let's run through You didn't belong winning the first set. You were out hit tonight. You came up with the blocks that you needed, but in the end, 0-61 in that first set. Come out of there with a win. Second set, completely different story. That was really the best run tonight. Tell us about what went well in that second set this evening.
It's always our unforced errors. In the third set, I don't know what the hitting percentage was, but it wasn't good. And when our offense, not that it wasn't working, but when we make those unforced errors, that allows them to get momentum, and that's what happened. But I'm so proud of them with our block and our defense. I think our passing really stepped up tonight. That was great. When our offense isn't working, then our defense and everybody has to work a little harder, but that's okay. I'll take the win over the hitting percentage any day.
Absolutely. And that's, you had mentioned when we talked to you after the Dakota Wesleyan match that you came here and you wanted to institute block. You came in tonight with a blocking routine that was superb to your opponent this evening. And in that first set, when you weren't hitting well, you outblocked Mayville State by a pretty consistent margin, and that really did bail you out of that first set tonight.
Yeah, and they're actually, I would like to see stats in the North Star. They're probably one of the better blocking teams that we'll see in the NAI in general. So, and I believe in blocking, and I think it works and wins us games, and so does defense. But our offense is what we kind of rely on, so we have to really turn up the blocking, I guess.
I'll tell you, what I like about the characteristics of your team after seeing a play here a couple times is, Danielle Hagler, Bailey Nelson, Emma Lucas to an extent, they're flashy. They get the attention, right? In that third set, there's a ball coming down off a joust that Morgan Freege dives to dig up. Not really her game plan, does it? She had 6 blocks, and the rest of the team had combined, I think, for 5.
Yeah.
She goes out and does all these dirty things, and you need somebody to do that in order to have a successful team, and you're beginning to find some of those personalities here.
Yeah, it's great. And I said this before, anyone can take over, and she has that capability too, but she does do all the dirty work. It's great. And she wants to win. She's one of the most competitive people I know. So
yeah.
It's
Great stuff tonight. This is a good Mayville State team you were up against. Let's remember, we had coaching changes. Mayville State had coaching changes, but the cupboard's not bare. Pesa, Cox, Hadrava. I thought Natalie Hadrava was great in the first set and a half tonight. Those are great players that are over there that you were up against last year.
Yeah,
so this is a good test tonight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it was fun. It was great to beat good teams. They are good, and I know them very well. So
next 4, Viterbo, Waldorf, Bellevue, Dakota State.
Yes.
Waldorf's not getting votes. That's okay. Great record.
Yeah.
Number 6.
Yes.
Number 12.
Yep.
And a team getting high votes that's not in the top 25.
Yeah. My girls, they have something to prove. That we are so excited. Me and all of my players. I'm ready for this part of conference.
Well, I'll tell you what, when they looked rattled tonight, you only had to take one timeout, settle them down. Yeah. They were able to turn away a set point a couple of different times tonight, and that's some pretty solid confidence that they're playing with right now. More matches here? Are we going back to the Gratian, or what are we doing, do you think?
We will be going back to Gratian, but when we play Jamestown, just because of our fan following and their fan following and the rivalry, I don't know if it's a football rivalry. I don't know. I'm new here, so I don't really understand.
Trust me, it's everything. It's just everything, right? So.
But yeah, we're here for the Jamestown game, and then we'll be in Gratian for every other one.
Sounds good. Michelle, good work on the win tonight. Appreciate the time.
Thanks.
Michelle Micklejohn, the head coach of Valley City State University Viking volleyball. Going to go out and celebrate this one with the family on the floor tonight as the Vikings win 3-0. Final score again this evening, 25-22, 25-14, 28-26. We'll wrap up our post-game report with our Player of the Game Award, brought to you tonight by Ivy Real Estate. That's next here on Viking Volleyball, here on the Voice of the Vikings and the Voice of the Valley, KOVC.
CHI Mercy Health of Valley City has openings for full-time or part-time CNAs, occupational therapist, and certified occupational therapy assistant. They're also seeking a full-time nutrition service supervisor with a $5,000 sign-on bonus available for this position. CHI Mercy Health of Valley City also has openings for registered nurses, full-time or part-time, with a $15,000 sign-on bonus available. For more information and to apply, head to Mercy HospitalValleyCity.org under the Careers tab.
Are you on the right financial path? Are all your financial professionals on the same page? At LaRue Lockout Financial, you can be assured that your investment professional and tax professional are working together. Call Ryan LaRue at 701-845-6938 or James M. Lockow at CPA 701-845-1660. Services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, and securities offered through Pro Equities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA and SIPC.
Every body is different. Some experience injuries, while others need extra support.
I'll help you, Grandma.
At Jamestown Regional Medical Center, your health is what matters most. Our orthopedics and sports medicine team care for you and your unique needs. Their goal is to help you live your best life. Choose Jamestown Regional Medical Center for care of hips, shoulders, knees, and broken bones. Learn more at jrmcnd.com/orthopedics.
Why choose professional eye care centers? Let me count the whys. First, there are now 4 great doctors to see: Dr. Frank, Dr. Freilich, Dr. Jangula, and now welcoming Dr. Bond. Next is their many locations. You can now see one of their spectacular doctors in Jamestown, Valley City, Carrington, and Edgeley. And finally, their fantastic frame selection. And yes, all of their frames and lenses are backed by warranty. Visit proeyecarecenters.com and make an appointment today. Professional Eye Care Centers, clearly the best.
Now, back to Viking Volleyball on KOVC.
Welcome back to the Viking postgame report tonight from the W. Yasmin Fieldhouse, where the Vikings have swept Mayville State in volleyball this evening. Final score, 3-0, 25-22, 25-14, 28-26 in the third. With the win, the Vikings will improve to a 14-3 mark overall, and they'll go to 2-0 inside conference play. Mayville State drops to 0-1 inside the league in their first test of the year inside the North Star, and they'll fall to 8-4 in the overall category tonight. What a nice night for Valley City State with a great fan following here this evening. Offensively, maybe not the night they were looking at. These were two teams, as we dive inside the numbers on our post-game report, that struggled to hit well tonight. Vikings hit 105. The Comets hit 070. And when you've got that going on and you start looking for the little things, and those little things begin to jump out just a little bit, what kept the Comets in this thing? 34 digs from Natalie Hadrava tonight. Now, the dig number overall was 65-62, but Hadrava just found a way to keep her team in some things offensively. But the Vikings end up with 21 blocks tonight, 3 solos and 18 assists to the Comets' 10. 2 solos and 8 assists. And you can see where Michelle Mickeljohn is coming from. She believes in the block, and that was the difference in this tonight. Bailey Nelson, 13 kills, hit 226. Danielle Hagler, 6 kills and hit 375. Came in hitting 406 for the season. Another nice night for the sophomore out of Candu, North Dakota. Marty Sketchings with 6 kills. Morgan Freege with 6 kills tonight, but Freege, a nice line. Freege will have 6 kills, only 2 digs, but one of them was huge in the later portion of that matchup. She ends up with a solo block and 4 assists tonight. Danielle Hagler ends up with a solo block and 5 block assists on the night this evening as well. Really played a nice match, but again, the leader was Bailey Nelson offensively with 13 kills tonight. For Mayville State, they'll be led by no one in double figures. That's kind of key, but they were balanced. Nicole Corton impressed with her tonight from that right side. 9 kills, hit 208. Samantha Peza, 8 kills, hit 227. 6 kills for Tyra Paterick. She hit 188 this evening. 5 for Madison McKinnon. They didn't get the ball to her enough this evening, but just not much of a block there. Paterick ends up with 4 blocks in the night, a solo 3 assists to go with her 6 kills this evening. And again, we mentioned Natalie Hadrava with 34 digs tonight. Sadie Hansen, 32 assists in a 3-set match. That's not bad for the reigning setter of the week in the North Star Athletic Association. Digging the volleyball tonight, she had 16 digs as well to go along with that 32 assist total tonight and an assist block, and she also ends up with a kill this evening. So a nice night for Sadie Hansen. And as far as our Ivy Real Estate Group player of the match tonight, that's where we're going to go with that award. We don't reward the setter enough times. Sadie Hansen, reigning setter of the week, 32 assists tonight, 16 digs to go along with it. She was the defensive leader with 16 digs, and she also ends up with 32 assists. A great night all the way around for Sadie Hansen. Sadie Hansen will be our Ivy Real Estate Group Player of the Game Award. Ivy Real Estate Group is rewarding a member of the home team, the Valley City State University Vikings, the Valley City Highlanders, after every match that we bring to you here tonight and throughout the season here on KOVC. And so tonight, Sadie Hansen, junior out of Oaks, North Dakota, will come up with the Player of the Game award this evening with 16 digs and 32 assists. And that's going to do it for our coverage of Viking volleyball tonight. A grinded-out affair against a pretty darn good Mayville State University team, but the Vikings win it in a sweep tonight, 3-0, 25-22, 25-14, 28-26 for Viking volleyball. And for KOVC Sports, I'm Ryan Cunningham saying so long till Saturday. Tomorrow night, it's Highlander football homecoming against West Fargo Horace. So long, everybody.
The voice of the Valley since 1936. KOVC, 1490 AM and 96.3 FM.
She's been going out with him. She's been going out with me. Said she'd let us know by tonight which one it would be. So I waited by the phone, but she never called me up. Had to know what was going